watch the video afterwards. Endeavor to share the link on your social media platforms to let others join us. And so we're beginning in earnest. So my name is Madu, for those who may be meeting me for the first time. A first-year PhD student in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication here in the University of Iowa in the United States. My area of concentration is health communication, and my research interest is in the area of misinformation studies. So I'm interested in health-related misinformation, global disinformation, global propaganda, and all other forms of deep fakes. Okay, so hosting this webinar with me is Nathaniel Godwin. He's currently pursuing his master's in journalism studies at West Virginia University here in the United States also. He's a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, and a journalist with training and certification from the U.S. Agency for Global Media. So big shot we have here. His interest research-wise are in media uses and effects, development communication, and strategic communication, Stratcom. I love that area of concentration. For those of you who are interested in ads and PR, yeah, is your number one go-to. So hello, Nathaniel.
Hi, Gochuku. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening. You're in Nigeria, of course. An absolute pleasure to be here. I hope you can hear me.
Oh, sure, we can hear you.
Yeah, good to be here. And I'm happy to be on the webinar and hopefully put out some very good information that'll be of good use to everyone around. So an absolute pleasure to have me. And the big shot, I think you're the big shot. So, I mean,
yeah, oh, big shot.
Thanks for the honors, man.
So how is Morgantown this afternoon?
Morgantown is fine. It's just a couple minutes past 1 p.m. Before we football lovers, we're watching soccer and
so sorry to inconvenience you for
yeah.
So
we have to do.
Yeah, winter is coming. How are you preparing for winter?
Oh man, it's crazy. Already the temperatures are dropping to like 5 degrees, 7 degrees in Celsius. I mean, you know, it is like fall, so the leaves are changing colors. The cold is welcoming us, but we'll be fine at the end of the day.
It looks like we are pretty much lucky in the Midwestern region of the US. For instance, here in Iowa City, we are still having like the temperature is still like 30, you know, and I'm feeling really cold. So imagine
vibes. I mean, you probably expect the cold, probably around November or something.
Well, you know, in some parts of the US, it's already snowing, so it's coming, and I think it's one of the scary aspects of coming to the US as an international student, especially if you are from the part of the world where it doesn't usually snow or it doesn't usually get cold this much. So also joining us today on this webinar is my sister, my colleague, and a fellow communication scholar, Amaka Pease. She is currently pursuing her master's in communication studies at the Northern Illinois University. It's just close by here. We share boundaries together here in the US, focused on women and leadership position. That's her area of interest. Hello, Amaka.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. Ugochukwu, nice meeting you in person, finally.
Same here.
Okay, virtually. We've been having a lot of collaboration for quite some time now, but we've not actually met or seen.
You're right. You're right.
And then Nathaniel too, like we've been connecting even before I came to the US. So
right from when we were still looking
exactly, like the whole hustle from the whole
days.
exactly nice. It's actually very, very very good that we all made it here, and
For
I mean,
sure.
I like what we are doing,
For sure.
honestly. And to give a brief introduction, like to add to the introduction,
Okay, sure.
when you asked me, I was not sure of what to say because I was handling my literature review.
Oh,
But yes, my concentration in communication is rhetorical studies. So this rhetorical studies is basically in political communication, political aspects of rhetorical studies. So
okay.
I am much more focused in gender biases, especially women in leadership position in the political sphere.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. That's good. So how is Illinois this afternoon?
Cold. I was making faces. I was making faces when you were saying 30 degrees. Yesterday we had 2 degrees.
You can imagine. I'm very lucky to be in this part of the US, I must confess.
It is cold. Jesus Christ.
So
I didn't imagine that a time would come when before I go out, I have to watch my phone and see what the weather is saying before I go out, know what to dress. Like, and it's crazy.
you really have to. So like, how are you preparing? You have your winter gear ready, like winter clothing?
I'm trying to, I can't kill myself.
All right, so guys, we will, without wasting much time, dive into the webinar proper. So, Nate, I would like to begin with you, Nathaniel. So, could you please tell us, like, the difference between STEM and non-STEM? While also letting us know where JMC falls under, like journalism, media, communication, related programs, where they fall under, when we're talking about STEM and non-STEM. So you have the floor.
All right. Thank you very much, Ugochukwu. Hi, peace once again, and hello, everyone. So STEM, I mean, pretty much everyone should know STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It is basically an area that covers natural and pure science, if you like. When I mean natural science here, I mean, exact science, as some people call it, where you have all of the programs that falls under the category of science, technology, engineering. You could talk about biotechnology, biomedical engineering, industrial engineering, chemical engineering, and the likes. And then mathematics-based programs and has to be data analysis at some point. Sorry, data science in some path, statistics in some areas, pure mathematics in some areas. So I mean, that's exactly what STEM is all about, just natural and exact science, or pure science, if you want to put it that way. While non-STEM is everything that doesn't fall into the STEM category, as the name simply implies. And this has to do with humanity and social science. One very basic difference between both, because they are both sciences, like I said, STEM is like natural science, non-STEM is like social science. And when you say it is exact science, it means 2 chemical formulas or 2 chemical compositions will give you the same reaction in Nigeria, just the way it would give you in the US or probably in Lebanon or some other places. But I mean, non-STEM is social science because you deal with social beings, you deal with social phenomenon that is influenced by different factors, and it is not the same. If you prick me with a needle, the reaction you get from me is not the same you get from someone else who is just probably a few meters away from me, So mass communication, journalism, media and communication studies falls under non-STEM because it is a social science discipline. It is about social science studies, and particularly or specifically, we study communication, either intrapersonal or personal or interpersonal or group or organizational communication or mass communication. So these are the areas that falls under communication as a whole. And then you have journalism as an aspect. If you followed recently development in Nigeria, you'd have noticed that there is this move to ensure that mass communication is broken down into 7 different divisions, and that would mean having communication as a faculty across different schools, and have communication broken down into departments like film studies, cinematography, journalism, media studies, art and PR, and it goes on and on. So JMC in particular, or as in general, encompasses all of these areas: journalism, media, communications in different forms, different stages, mass mediated or not. So, and we are a non-STEM discipline like we already know. But hey, make no mistake about it, we are still as important as the STEM programs.
So in a nutshell, you're saying that JMC is non-STEM, right?
Yes,
And that's absolutely.
We're not science. We're not a technology discipline. We are not an engineering discipline, and certainly not a mathematical discipline.
Okay, but some people argue that journalism, mass communication, especially when you talk about broadcasting, has to do with technology, and there are, some arguments that are rising in that area that it should be categorized as STEM.
Yeah, actually, especially you mentioned broadcasting, and it has to be a lot of equipment that are, science inclined or technology based. Mass communication is technology based, but these are aspects for me, because it's an argument, like you mentioned, that is on globally, in the academia, if it should be a science, if communication is a science or not. I honestly think, I feel it is not an exact science, because at the end of the day, we would have to, of course, use equipment that are built by technology and science as a means to communicate. But the whole sense of communication and the whole art in itself, I do not see it as science inclined. And there is a school of research that is now focused on scientific or quantitative research methodologies, which gives that feeling of being a natural science. But I do not see journalism as that. I do not see communication as that. I do not see, media studies as that. We can actually borrow their technology. We can borrow their research methodologies to carry out researches. But in general, by the very nature and makeup of journalism, media, and communication, we're a non-STEM. That's my argument always.
All right, that's awesome. So over to you, Amaka. So, with this reality that we are faced with, having JMC as a non-STEM, discipline, how do you think that JMC applicants are affected by this reality?
To be honest, everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different background. And one thing I love about journalism and mass communication is that it is very vast, diverse, and can fit any discipline into the STEM field.
That's true.
Currently, I'm doing a course in artificial intelligence in the news. And just like Nathaniel said, I would feel that journalism and communication, I've done so many technical things that sometimes I ask myself, do they really consider this field non-STEM? Because I have discussed machine learning, data learning, deep learning, a lot of technical stuff in this thing. And I just feel like I would understand it from the point that we study STEM in relation to how it affects people, which makes it social science.
Absolutely.
So, but then the United States as a country is crazy about STEM.
That's true.
And then the world, let's be truthful to ourselves, the world is moving in, let me say, if not mathematics, if not engineering, if not science, at least to a very technologically advanced place. I mean, the area of internet, the area of digital devices, even as we are using Zoom, it depicts an advance in the technological field. So most schools are actually kind of, this is where I come in. Like I said, that communication is very vast. Journalism and mass comm is very vast, that it can actually fit into any field. However you want to configure it, if you want to stay true to like social science, if you want to switch to a pure science, or if you want to just remain, you can just fit into any place. But then I usually tell people to look at the trends we have, make sure you build skills that in the grand scheme of things, when you get out there, outside of the classroom, if you don't want to stay inside of the classroom, these skills are going to help you. Like after studying journalism and mass communication, what next? What are the field that are required in the industry presently? Look towards the skill and gain them, even if they are not taught in the classroom. So whether or not journalism and mass communication falls into the acumen of STEM or non-STEM, I feel that what matters at the end of the day is the skill that you are able to present on the table.
All right. Also in perspective, so I want us to be more specific in regards to the application process. Like, since there is preference over STEM, like a preference for STEM over non-STEM, how does it affect JMC applicants? Is there like scarcity of scholarships for JMC applicants?
If I would go first, that's a no-brainer. I'll say yes for sure. Like Amaka rightly mentioned, there is the preference world over for STEM programs, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and it looks like whenever anything is available in terms of funding grants, they are like the go-to disciplines. Firstly, because of the kind of place I work, in my GA position, research communications office, I get to see a lot of these grants and how they move and how they are channeled. Trust me, I mean, they have almost everything. There is what is called the NSF in the US, National Science Foundation, and the billions of dollars these guys allocate to, STEM programs. It is crazy. There's currently a research going on, around the area where I am in the US, the Appalachian region, on aging and how people should, take care of themselves when they're growing old, and about $1.7 billion was allocated for such studies, and they were like very specific. If you have researches that are based on STEM or that they are STEM rooted, come forward. But I mean, I could also, even as a communicator, I could undertake researches that would improve health for the aged from a communication perspective.
That's true.
So categorizing or putting out non-STEMs and saying, look, you do not have to come forward if your research is not in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Definitely there's a dichotomy that is there already, and we cannot deny that. But be that as it may, I still feel there is a place for us. There is definitely a place for us. And that's why Ugochukwu is where he is, Peace is where she is, and I am where I am. So even as a communicator, as a non-STEM researcher or student or graduate, yes, there's still a place for you in the US. There's still a place for you, as far as graduate schools, funding, grants are concerned. I don't know at the time, we'll probably go into all of those talks pretty soon, I guess. But yeah, sure, there's definitely a place for us. Dichotomy cannot be denied. Is there a niche we can carve? Absolutely, yes, for me.
All right, that's awesome. I like the perspective you are using to like discuss that issue. It's something that over the years, it has made a lot of graduates of journalism, mass communication, media, and other related programs, especially STEM courses, graduates of STEM courses, they feel that scholarship opportunities are only for those in sciences. But I like the fact that we are beginning to like amplify and then, like I call it, preach the gospel of the availability of scholarship for even non-STEM graduates, abroad, especially in the US, in the UK, Canada, Europe, and other parts of the world. So Amaka, over to you. Like, to be specific, what are the available scholarship opportunities for graduates of non-STEM with particular reference to JMC graduates?
There are lots of scholarship and funding opportunities out there for non-STEM. I would say that our greatest undoing would be lack of information or access to information. Because Because before I've actually wanted to maybe study on scholarship, but I didn't have that access to information until I got to know about it. That was when I started shooting my shots and trying out things. But for graduate school, I think the most common form of scholarship should be graduate assistantship, which covers like research assistantship or teaching assistantship. But for non-STEM, the most common form of funding should come in form of teaching assistantship. Because just like Nathaniel has mentioned, there is that segregation. There is that prejudice against non-STEM disciplines that research is not research in this field are not like in-depth. They don't carry real-time research that would affect real life happenings, real life events. So funds, I mean, these assistantships are not like, they are not free money. So funds are not really dedicated to that non-STEM discipline because there is a belief that they don't really engage in research, which is not true.
Yeah.
So most of the time, the most common part of scholarship for non-STEM, for people in non-STEM, is usually through the teaching assistantship.
All right, that's awesome. So moving over to you, Nathaniel, like what aspects of scholarships or what kinds of scholarship are available for GMC graduate? I would like you to make reference to conventional and non-conventional scholarships. And when I talk about conventional scholarships, I'm talking about those that are like the likes that require lots of essays, you know, the type of scholarships I'm talking about. And then the non-conventional in this context would be what you know, Amaka just talked about, the various aspects of graduate assistantships that we have available for non-STEM abroad with reference to US. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So aside GA positions, you know, which I would also speak about, there are also fellowship programs that GMC scholars can look out for. I mean, if you check out a few of the schools around, for example, I'll speak about University of North Carolina. I've actually followed them a bit recently. You know, they have fellowship funds or grants that are available for students to for GMC students to take advantage of. Yeah, as Amaka rightly said, also teaching assistantships are most times what is made available for us. But there are a few schools that also make available research grants where you could work as a research assistant with the professors in different areas. I mentioned North Carolina because, yeah, they are like the go-to for me in terms of what they've got. You have grants for health communication. You have grants for, you know, a couple different areas. I think even social political communication now,
Yeah.
you know, a couple of those areas where not your normal in quote GA, you know, assistantship, but you have fellowship, and these fellowships are huge. You earn almost as much as you know, STEM scholars. So I would urge everyone to look out for such positions, look out for fellowships, look out for grants. They are available. You know, certain schools are willing to put out their research intensive programs. Their communication programs are research intensive. So it means they have quite a good number of funding, especially in health communication, where the US, I feel, has heavy funding when it comes to their healthcare system. You know, so there are intersections between health communication and public health, and funding will always be available for you to, you know, look at these areas and take advantage of every now and then. So for assistantship, there is an area where we do not look into so much as communicators, and I feel is an area where we can explore and have much more of our people getting to such areas. Teaching, always available, of course. Research, once in a while you find them. But there are also administrative assistantships that we can jump on. Now, I have a friend who is in, where is she at now? Greenbowl. Is it Greenbowl now? I can't remember the name of the school now. But yeah, so what she does is she works with the athletic department of the school. That's like the sports department. And what does she do? She writes their press release. She takes photographs, you know, all of those things. basically communication functions in the space where she works. And she has a graduate assistantship that covers her tuition, pays everything she needs, covers her tuition, health insurance, you have your stipend coming in also. And it is not, your administrative assistantship must not come from your department.
Mhm.
You have offices, you have units in the school that offers such. In my school, there is the university relations department or university relations office. They are like the official communication office of the university, and they produce the periodic magazines.
Okay.
They do publications and all of those, and they have GAs available. They have GA positions available, and it is incumbent on GMC scholars to take advantage of such. So one of the things that worked for me during the application process was, aside looking out for departmental funding that comes from teaching assistantships and research assistantships, I was looking out for graduate service assistantship or admin assistantships, put it which way you want to put it, from such places, openings or areas or offices or units that has a communication department or office. So those places are meant for us. And trust me, there is no university in the whole of the US that does not have a that doesn't have a communication office or public relations office.
Yeah.
And then like my school, every department has a communication office where they more or less put out contents from the department, handling of social media, writing press release of publications of their professors, what their students are doing. Every college has got that.
All
so
right. Not to cut you short, I'm trying to make sure that we are maximizing the time we have today. We have a lot of other things to talk about on this webinar. So a lot of things that you are already revealing, we are still going to get to that part, sooner or later. So like I said earlier, in case you are just joining us on this webinar is grouped into several sessions. We are just rounding up with a preliminary. In the preliminary, we are just trying to simulate your minds, kind of sensitize you about scholarships abroad, like what it is like to get used to some of these terms and be conversant of the nature of scholarship opportunities abroad before we'll dive in proper. So like a quick summary of this session is, what Amaka and Natania just talked about recently. They tried to highlight, the scholarship opportunities that are available for non-STEM applicants with emphasis on journalism, mass communication, media communication graduates. So I would like to take a minute or two to throw more light on conventional and non-conventional scholarships. So like I said earlier, conventional scholarship in this context would mean Commonwealth shared scholarship, Chevening scholarship, DAD, Erasmus. There is a Mundus journalism aspect of the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Those are what I see as the conventional, the kind of scholarships that are strictly they ask you to write several essays. And, one good thing about those kinds of scholarships is that, they don't expect you to work in return for the scholarship they give you. You just have the time to concentrate and, study, come up with, graduate in flying colors. They just want you to succeed. And this kind of scholarship like Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, Chevening, DAD, Erasmus Mundus, they pay your flight ticket. Sometimes they pay your visa application fees. They pay your accommodation fees and all that. Then when you talk about what I refer to as non-conventional kind of scholarships, what we know as assistantship in North America, like in Canada, in US, in some other parts of Europe. Yeah, we have assistantships, like teaching assistantships, research assistantships, administrative assistantships, like Natania mentioned earlier. these kinds of scholarship expect you to like work as a kind of like in return for the funding you are getting. For instance, teaching assistantship will require you to teach maybe a course in a semester. Research assistantship would require that you have to work with a professor, help the professor gather data, analyze data and back on, research and all that. And then administrative assistantship would mean you just sitting in an office and executing a specific task, involved. So these kinds of scholarship, you have to do something in return for the funding. It is not like absolutely free. You do something in return. So if you ask me about the advantages, among these two kinds of scholarships, I would say that for the Commonwealth, Chevening, DAD, Erasmus Mundus, one, you don't have to work. Like you don't have to work in return for that funding. You just concentrate on your studies. Then as for assistantships, one, you gain teaching experience. Two, you gain research experience. Three, you gain administrative experience, work experience that help you to like position yourself better for post-study opportunities. And with that, I'm talking about jobs. So for the conventional kind of scholarships, you leave the scholarship with almost, no experience work-wise, except it's a place that allows you to combine studies, with work. So, and when we look at the disadvantage, I would say everything that has merit has its own downside too. So the disadvantage is, like I earlier highlighted, no work experience attached for the conventional kind of scholarships. You have to, most of them, there is a clause you have to like, watch out for. They require that you go back to your country once you are done with that program. For instance, the Commonwealth, Erasmus and the rest of them. We ask you to sign a bond kind of agreement that after your program, you are, you're going back and all that. So that's the downside to that kind of scholarship. And then the downside to the assistantships, I would just say it's having to combine work with study. And Amaka and Nathaniel will attest to the fact that it's really not an easy task trying to navigate your way through grad school and also have work responsibilities to execute. So with that being said, we will quickly move over to the pre-application stage. And in the pre-application stage, we are looking at things that you should, have in place or should be thinking about before embarking on the application proper, before commencing on the scholarship journey, or why thinking about it. What are those things you should have at the back of your mind? So I will quickly put a marker on the spot. I would like you to tell us about passport, international passport, highlighting some of the challenges, people go through to get that, and then share some tips, and how and where to go get it, so you have the floor.
Okay. Before actually thinking of studying abroad, you should think first about your international passport. And like we know, Niger, there is an official website where you can apply for it online and then proceed for the next line of the application phase physically at their office. I believe that each state in Nigeria has an immigration office where you can go and process these documents. So when I was applying for my own, I would actually do this from my personal experience. When I was applying for my own passport, I was told that the booklet had finished. I had to go and come back later. And then I came back later. I was much more informed the second time that I came. I processed the whole document. And then for most of the time, you should need your birth certificate. That is, if you're born after 2000, you should need a local government identification letter from your local government you will need a passport, and then you will need a birth certificate. Now, a birth certificate is not the one that is given to you by National Population Commission. They don't accept that one. If you were born before 2000, where's my English going? If you are born before 2000, so they won't accept that national population, that birth certificate. So you should get an original birth certificate, or you should get a court affidavit. That is what I used. You should get a court affidavit. Combine all of these documents and apply for it online, and then proceed for the next line of application, which is your data, your capturing, your biometrics and everything offline. So I would say that from state to state, as we all knew, or we may not know, but the validity of this processing vary from state to state. Some states process it quicker than the rest. I would say that states process this kind of passports quick than the rest should be states in remote places, like I would say from the southeast, maybe like Ebonyi State, somewhere, but I know that in very urbanized states, like maybe Anambra or Imo states may have that kind of strict processing time. Like they might have much more longer processing time than less urbanized states in Nigeria. So if you're processing this, you just have to consider a lot of things. The place you're going to process it, and then gather information, maybe go there or on their website. They have official website. I don't want to say things out of context, please. So go to the official website, apply, and then go for the biometric and capturing offline. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much for that. So we just talked about international passport, what is involved, the realities around it. So next we'll be talking about transcripts. So Nathaniel, you will go first.
All right, thank you. So, like, I guess you already know, there is absolutely no way you put in an application for graduate school out of Nigeria, even in Nigeria, without your undergraduate transcript. Now, some schools allow for students to make applications with their unofficial transcripts, and that means your copy of the transcript. That's like the student's copy. Some schools would demand that you send the official copy straight away. So it depends on where you're applying. So please be sure that you always know what is applicable for every school, for specific schools. Like for my school at West Virginia, I was only demanded to submit an unofficial transcript, which I did until I got admitted. They did not send me my admission letter until I got my official transcript sent to them from my school. Now, note that you are not meant to send the official transcript yourself. You are only meant to start off the process that would see your institution, your alma mater, send that transcript to them. All right. So get to know exactly what the school needs. If they want an official transcript from the onset, from the get-go, or they are demanding for an unofficial or student copy when you're starting off your application. So once that is needed, once that is sorted, you know that, you ensure it is submitted the way it should be, maybe online, probably via mail, depending on what is applicable. Be sure to always know what is needed so you do not end up sending a document the wrong way and expecting a feedback you do not get any, and then we start cursing and, oh, this school did that, this school gave me love letter, did this. So be sure to know the specific way through which they want that transcript sent to them. And for you to get your transcript, generally we are meant to apply from your alma mater's academic affairs department. Firstly, you'll probably be told to pick a form. Depends on where you school, the amount you pay differs. And you should know that when you apply for a foreign school, you pay more. So ensure you know that. Go to your school's academic affairs department, or academic planning, or whatever you call it. Get a process started and have your transcripts sent. For people who do not have, who find it difficult to get their student copy of their transcript, for me, I got mine for free. I had a good relationship with a few guys and they helped me get it. But if it's not the same for you and you face a bit of a problem, what you can also do is to pay for the official transcript and have a kind of relationship with an organization or even a school close to you where you can, have your transcripts sent to by your institution officially. Then you pick it up from there and use that for your application. That is if you're unable to get an unofficial transcript or your student copy. So that also works. It is relative, depending on what works for you. Like I mentioned earlier, you could get this done. And when your school demands for an official transcript, ensure you do not send it yourself. Be wise enough to know that your alma mater is meant to send the official transcript to your school directly. It shouldn't pass through you. That is why it is official. It should be sealed, stamped. If it needs to be signed, it should be signed, and then have it sent. Perhaps in the course of the webinar, if we have questions, people who have issues with getting their transcript, to probably make room where you ask questions, and we'll see how we tackle cases that are case specific. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nathaniel, for that wonderful information you just gave us about transcript. So, Amaka, please, is there like some dots you would want to connect? Is there anything you want to add as regards to transcript? Looks like you are muted.
So just like Nat said,
Okay.
I worked in my school before, and I had like a very good relation. I didn't really go the whole official way.
Mhm.
So honestly, but what I have people do for HND.
Oh,
People
well,
HND.
we are coming to that.
Yes, I'm always talking from my experience, because these systems are very, like the whole systems, the university system and the polytechnic system are different. So for HND, the ND office, they are always different. The HND office, they are always different. So just like if you want to order an official transcript from the school, even to another school in Nigeria, the whole method that Nat just talked about, you are expected to apply differently from the ND office and differently from the HND office. So do not apply, do not say, because I cannot have a HND, because this is one of the problems that I have with HND, people with HND. I cannot have a HND degree without an ND. So you automatically assume on their behalf. They don't know about these things. So combine these two certificates, two of them, the program. If you're applying for a HND transcript, apply for the ND too, because one cannot exist without the other.
Yeah, that's true. So one of the challenges some people who are new to scholarship application encounter is that they do not know actually how to get it address-wise, because some people that I've come in contact with, they feel that for each school you want to apply to, you have to apply and have your transcript sent to the school. So what can you say about that?
Just like Nat explained.
Mm-hmm.
Some schools will want official transcript. Generally, I will advise you to avoid these schools, because they are cutting costs.
Yeah.
The spending power is very, very far behind. You can't keep sending official transcripts to schools when you are not even somehow assured of not just admission. Trust me, you will get admission, but funded admissions. So you don't want to make that kind of, I call it a careless spending, uncalculated spending. So most schools will require unofficial transcript. So you don't send it to an address, a physical address, the unofficial transcript per se. I mean, here in the US, they are very, very high on recycling. So less of paper-based applications.
Yeah.
So you scan if you get it via the method that Nathaniel has just said, getting the official transcript, send it to a nearby school or a company where you can pick it up yourself, or maybe go to the school if you have a good relationship with them, go and pick it up yourself, scan it and keep it in your folder documents. Your folder documents where every of your application documents will be, both your passport and everything. Scan it and put in your folder. So during your application journey, you don't have to send it to any physical address in the United States. You are going to attach it to your application. There would be a place in your application process on the websites where you would be asked to upload your unofficial transcripts. But for schools that request or require unofficial transcripts and every other document, sometimes some people might not know how to do this thing. The best kind of advice that I would recommend is most of the time, reach out to graduate admission, international admission, upload these files to them via email. They will help you attach it to your application. Trust me. They are always ready to help.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll still stay with us. So we will now talk about contacting referees for recommendation letters as a pre-application requirement. So Amaka.
Oh, contacting referees. I am someone that I didn't really have big relationship with my lecturers while back in school. And from the moment, the year I graduated till the year I started application, that was like 6 years gap.
Oh.
So even if I had that kind of relationship and I didn't really maintain it after school, trust me, it's gonna be still rusty. But what made it easy for me was that I was lucky that my project supervisor, even though he is very strict to the core, he's a very principled person. The moment I reached out to him, he was like, I don't remember supervising you. So he asked for my transcripts, even my HOD, he asked for my transcripts and I sent to all of them. So luckily for me, I made good grades. Like my results, they were like good. So they were like, even my course, you had it so score. So this is a direct advice for anyone that is still in school. Education, no be scam. Make the good grades. You understand? So, and another thing I did, because Nigerian professors, they are busy. Even me as a graduate student, I don't tell people to give me SOP to review because I am busy. Trust me, busy. How much more professors? So they are very busy. And most of the time, because you don't know them very well, they might not have anything tangible to put into your recommendation letter. And trust me, your recommendation letter is a huge part of your application. On a side note, if you're applying, try to waive the right to view your recommendation letter. Waive this right, because it is going to tell that anonymously, I'm going to explain, anonymously, you trust what your referee is putting out there in your absence. And now when you waive this, it's going to tell them that, oh, this person really trusts this person to write something good. That means the relationship is so solid. And now the tricky part of it is that this recommendation, you might be the one writing it. What I recommend is that because these professors are very busy and they might not really know you very well, like in and out to tell things or write really good things about you. From my own experience, I wrote all my recommendation letters, all 3 of them. I wrote it and then I will forward it to these lecturers and tell them to review. So once they review it, now anything that they don't agree with, or if there is a place that you're stepping out of the line, they're gonna tell themselves, no, I won't agree with this idea, or yes, I concur. So, but so far, all of my recommenders were like, I love what you write. I love what you wrote. So if I am to even write this, I'm going to even write the same thing or even lesser. So I made sure, because now another issue that people usually ask about recommendation is most of them comes with Gmail or Yahoo Mail. Why it is not very formal or really good, it's not a good impression to submit your recommendation with a Gmail or a Yahoo Mail address. If that is the only option you have, please use it. Now, one thing I will tell people is, if your lecturer or your professor is using a Yahoo Mail, I don't know Nigerian professors and their disdain for academic email. I don't know. So, but if you are stuck with the Gmail, Yahoo Mail, one thing you're going to make sure they do is this. For my own, after writing those things, I didn't tell them to copy and paste with their Gmail. I had to meet them in school, get their letterheaded paper, their official letterheads, print the recommendation letter, gave them back, they signed and stamped. I had to scan it back to them. So now, even with a Yahoo Mail, their letterhead, their signature, and their official stamp is giving that recommendation letter a very huge authority. So do you understand? So even if it's coming from a Gmail, or even if it's not the most best part, it's not like the best part of or best email to send out a recommendation letter, which is a very, very official letter. Make sure that at the end of the day, it comes with a letterhead that is signed and stamped.
Thank you very much for that brilliant explanation on a recommendation letter. Not really proper, but reaching out to referees for recommendation letter as a prerequisite, like as part of the pre-application process, because you have to inform your referees, who could be your lecturers, as we call them in Nigeria, or your current boss at work, or maybe your former boss at work, reaching out to them, letting them know of your intention, so that you don't just call somebody today and tell them, hey, the application deadline for what you are applying for is tomorrow, and you want them to send the application, the recommendation letters today. No, it's not done that way. People have things going on in their lives, so you have to be proactive, reach out to them well ahead of time, and then reach out to many as you can, so that you just have backup. You know, your referee could get sick, your referee could, maybe travel to a place where there may be no internet access, or maybe your referee could have problems with their, laptops or phone, and may not be able to write a recommendation letter for you at the moment. So it's good to always have alternatives. If this fails, then who am I reaching out to quickly? So now we'll be talking about publications. Nathaniel, over to you. Nathaniel, are you with us?
Yeah, I just have to switch my devices because I was running a low battery on the other one.
Okay.
I'm clear, yeah?
Okay, yeah, you are.
All right, so for publications, really, I'll tell you a brief story. When I got in here, and the first time I met my graduate coordinator, he met me and was like, whoa, he said I had a pretty decent list of publications, and he said I should probably be studying for a PhD or something. And, we just had a discussion, and he said he left a statement that still sticks in my head till date. He said the whole essence of grad school is to research. And I mean that it makes no sense, or it makes little sense, he said, to get into grad school and you do not have publications to your name. The truth is, the place of publications cannot be overemphasized. But then again, it is not a death sentence. Let me also put that line before somebody develops a heart attack. It is not a death sentence if you do not have it. But when I spoke about it recently, I was telling someone that publications give you an advantage. They give you an advantage in the chasing pack. So when we had our first research assignment in class, the professor said that I was the only one who has research experience, because I was asking some questions as to what he wanted us to do in terms of the methodology. I was beginning to ask about quantitative and stuff. And I was like, I should take it easy. In the whole of the class, I'm like the only guy who has this research experience that is so deep and vast and stuff. So the point is, there are also people who get into grad school without it. But one of the best things you can do for yourself is to develop your research profile or your publication profile. Have something going for you. And it's almost impossible to graduate from a Nigerian university and you tell me that you did not write an undergraduate project. Excuse me, sir and ma, that is a research experience for you. Doing a publication out of it is something entirely different. And maybe also at some point in the webinar, we'll speak about that, how you can, convert certain aspects of your undergraduate thesis or research into publications that, would stand with your name as, this guy or this lady has this publication on this and this area. But the truth is, you cannot overemphasize the place and the role that it has, especially for someone who's coming from Nigeria. And then you are battling out for admission spots against maybe Americans or Canadians and a few international students from Europe and China. Publications and research experience, I'm combining both. They are two different things. Having a publication and having research experience are two different things. You can have research experience and not have a publication. A publication is when you publish a research in either a peer-reviewed journal or some professional journal. That's when you have a publication. But you can have research experiences by the virtue of, you've conducted research during your undergraduate studies, or in one paper, or you're a research assistant for one doctoral student somewhere in Nigeria, and all of those things. So there are two different things. But I am saying you should have, if not the two of them, at least one of them, at least have research experience. If you do not have a publication, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to elaborate on your undergraduate research project in your SOP and make it very visible in your CV. For example, when I finished my school, I had this undergraduate research I did in some general elections like in Nigeria and the role of the media, blah, blah, blah. It looks like almost every GMC student, researched on election in Nigeria, something like that, but I had that in my SOP. I spoke about the methods I used for it. I spoke about some of the major literatures I reviewed. I spoke about the conclusions, to more or less show that this guy has an understanding of research. But the good thing was I also had publications. I had about 7 publications before I got into grad school.
PhD.
So Awaka and Ugu and our guys there, something worked for me. So I used to be very close to this professor in my school, and he had me working on his major researches. Like I was doing reviews for him, I'll do data gathering for him, I'll do analysis for him and stuff. For me, this guy was just punishing my life. Like, what the heck is this? Oga, you're the lecturer, go and do your stuff. But some of us just had, these things going for us. But I did not know that I was building myself up for something. The whole US dream and abroad studies was not in the plan for me. I was just doing it because, okay, he's my lecturer and he's my professor, and he comes through for me in school and stuff. But when I decided to, look out for schools abroad, I now saw the importance of those things. So a moral lesson here: if you probably have professors you are close to who are in quotes punishing you to write researches for them or do data gathering for them, please gladly do it. The man offered to have my name in about 2 or 3 of his publications for the role I played. And then I had a couple of my own, personal researches I did. He made me pay for 2 conferences and attend conference in our school. One of them he paid for me, the other one I paid with my money the next year. If you have such opportunities, please jump on them. Your school, your undergraduate school, your faculty or department could have conferences they are putting together. If you can, 5,000, 10K, 15K, 20K, maybe 30K, if you can, please attend, team up, attend those conferences and probably present your undergraduate research, your project. Just refine it. There's a way you can cut it down. Google, I don't know if this is in the lineup for discussions, but for example, you probably had to work with 3 research objectives or 3 hypotheses during a communication or your undergraduate project. Each of those 3 researches, if you did a very good job, or each of those 3 objectives, you can just pick one, focus on it. From if you have a very good chapter 2 review of literature, pick those the literatures you reviewed, pick that particular objective, do a background afresh, use the review of literature that you did in your chapter to use it as the lit review for the research article. The areas in your what's it called now, in your data analysis that shows or that answers questions related to that objective, put it out also. Make out, before you have a journal article of 10 to 12 or 15 pages. You publish it or you present in a conference. It stands for you. So the truth is, publications and research experience are very, very important. If you do not have it, like I said, it's not a death sentence, but it gives you an edge if you have it. When I applied for my school, I was a bit behind schedule. I applied in April, like about 6 or 7 months ago. It was almost closed, but I'm pretty much sure that man had seen what I was coming with and decided to open the door for me. The GA positions were already finished, but he recommended me for another one because there was something he saw that stood out. So please and please, if you can have publications, do it. Like I'll quote Professor Obansky, the whole essence of graduate school is research. So it shows that you have something you want to bring, you have a foundation that can be built upon, and then it speaks well for your overall profile.
Man, when people say, journalism, media studies, communication studies, it's not STEM. I said, are they mad? Are they mad? We don't do research. Yeah. Look at, like
I'm doing two now.
like
I
I thought I had, I had several publications. I think, yeah, I had like, was it 2 or 3 then? Yeah, but here is someone who has 7, not 1, not 2, not 5, not 6. 7. You're doing a PhD and not even master. So, but the combination of the host for this webinar is really awesome in the sense that we have people coming from diverse, different backgrounds. And I know that Peace, Amaka is really itching to say something about research, because Amaka, did you have any publication prior to application?
0.
That's why I want you to talk. So they don't think it's a dead
0.
sentence. All right.
It's not a dead sentence, actually. Even I just like Nat said, research experience and publication are 2 different things. I love research. I love research. Like, I love research.
Who is that?
I love to read. Naturally, I love to read. I love to study. I love to, look for new information. And I'm that curious. But sit down and write this thing and publish it, you missed me. So while I was preparing for I kept seeing everybody say, flounce their research. When I saw
well, part of the reason why they say mass comm is non-STEM.
When I saw Dr. Olimiya's CV format, I was seeing presentation, conference. I was like, where are these people coming from? You people, what is this? Like, I was so intimidated. Please, if you're like that here, please do not be discouraged. I am here. I did it. You too, we did it.
All right. It's good to know that it's not a dead sentence now to have a publication prior to application. Amaka here is already doing her master's here in the US, and she had no prior publication before applying. So Amaka, over to you. I would want you to tell us about cold email, writing cold emails to professors in your prospective schools, schools of intent, as a pre-application process.
Okay, I didn't really use much of cold emails because
I know, I remember
that conference thing. Really, I was actually very intimidated. And trust me, I would say that one part of doing this thing is because the kind of mistakes and the kind of pitfalls that I jump or failed into, I would want people to avoid all of those. So I didn't really do a lot of cold emails, but I did some. And I got so many professors from Twitter. A lot, about like 4 professors from Twitter. But at the end of the day, HND happened to me. So indirectly, I'm also telling you to make good use of your social media handle.
Awesome.
Make good use of it. Trust me, I saw like 3 professors that had similar research interests like I did. I was very interested in political communication, especially marginalized people in leadership position. And now for me, it is women. So I saw a professor from different school. I saw professors from different school. I was engaging in their tweets. 2 reached out to me via my Twitter handle. They were like, are you interested in our graduate program? That was it. But at the end of the day, those schools were not accepting HND. So, but for me, actively writing professors, I would go to their websites, or if you're reading research articles, if you're like me, I love to read. The best place for me to get professors to write to, because you don't even know where to search, school and all that. The best place for me, I had like 3 places that I usually search when I'm looking for a professor. I will look for a research article that I love, especially in that political aspect, political communication. When I read it, you're going to go to the reference page. They call it bibliography. you would see a lot of reference articles. Click on them. Most of these names, because they are writing something that is related to your research interest already. So you don't even need to like go there or there, like scamper around to look for people. These people have already written or done work that is related to your area of interest. So if you click on them, just touch their names, you see the universities that they are affiliated to. Write them an email. Because they are working on research that is related to your field, right? Your interest. And then another place that I searched was ResearchGate and Google Scholar. When you look at these places, you're going to see a lot of publications done by so many researchers, so many professors. So write them, and then when you are writing them, make sure you have your unofficial transcripts and your CV. Write them, express how your own interests overlap with their own interests. Express it very well. Like, if you're, I want to talk on my own. For me, I was talking on political communication, especially how media is stimulating women to participate in political positions, right? So, and I see a professor that whose research interest is in related area, even if it's not women. I can go ahead in that email and say, I am looking to analyze, I am looking to involve in research. Do you understand? That will uncover how media stimulates women for political position, or how these are things, raise concern. What do you intend to find out in your research? Raise all of these contents. Do you understand? Attach your unofficial transcript, attach your CV for reference, so that after getting to read your email, they're going to see this person, their academic profile did it for me. Yeah. And then from your CV, they're going to see, just like NAT is intimidating us here. If you have a lot of conference and publications from your CV, they're going to see that, yes, this person already has a research experience with lots of publication. And trust me, it is not easy to have your name out there. All of you in academia, you that is doing PhD, I'm so sorry. I'm cheering you from here. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not at all. Honestly, it is not. So if you're writing, if you want to code, email a professor. This is my own personal trick. If you're reading a research paper, just go to the reference part of it. Like, there is this paper that I am reading for one of my course. One person emailed me. I was like, they are interested in media and technology. I just referenced that paper. I was like, go to this paper. And now when you go under that paper, you see a whole lot of researchers that are interested, that maybe they use their paper because it is related to that kind of topic. If it is AI and journalism, you're going to see media and technology. Do you understand? So you see a lot of papers that are related. So look for all these professors. They are not just existing out of vacuum. Mail them, look up for their profile on Google Scholar, read their research paper, so that when you are emailing them, you have something to talk about. It's not just you. Peace.
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful tip. So I would like to ask, I think there is a part of code emailing I would want you to talk on. Like, how long do you advise that someone who wrote a professor a code email should wait before sending a follow-up email?
So one of the most difficult part of sending a code email is even time frame.
Good, I like that.
Time frame, because some part of the United States and Nigerian time is 6, 7, 8 hours, or even 5 hours ahead or behind.
Imagine even here in the US, Nathaniel is like an hour ahead of us.
Yes, Nathaniel is an hour ahead of us here. So it's crazy. Most of the time, like even where I work, like Nathaniel mentioned earlier, I'm not working for my department. My graduate assistantship came outside of the department. With my boss, I am working with my official email. Trust me, I review application. If you send me an application to that email after my work hours on Friday, if I am closing at 2 on a Friday, I'm not going to attend to you, trust me. It takes the grace of God if I'm in a happy mood, because I have so many things to work on. Trust me. It takes the grace of God for me to come and say, oh, you submitted your time sheet, I am going to work on it. Go to so. Do you understand? It takes, because they are not paying me for an extra hour.
Yeah.
If I am stopping work by 2 p.m., and you message me, my work has finished. If I am opening that email, that means I am literally working and they are not paying me for extra second. So I'm like doing a free work. This is what most of them think. And that is how they work. Their work emails are very different from their regular email. So when you email them, most of the time, most people, they don't even open their emails on Saturday or Sunday. So it takes a really good person, like my program coordinator that was opening his email on weekend and holiday to really attend to you. But most of the time, look for what I usually do when I'm sending emails is I will write the email, time it according to their time frame, to their US time. So when I do, I think there is that option on Gmail.
You schedule an email.
Yeah, you schedule it so that when it gets to that time of the day, when they have resumed for maybe like Monday work, your email gets delivered. So I usually give a time frame of like 3 days to remind them. Hey, so reminder, I am writing for my previous email, blah, blah, blah. I understand that you have a very busy schedule. I will appreciate it if you take your time to review the blah, 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 speak all the English that comes with it.
Yeah.
So, but make sure that the timing is not, this is 6 in Nigeria, right? So that means if you're sending, while I was in Nigeria, I usually send my emails around 2, 3 in Nigeria, PM. That is in the morning here. So when I send it, I know they are in the office. So 2, 3, 4, that is when I'm doing my applications in Nigeria. So even my boss here, if I mail her on Saturday, my boss, so that I can easily call her or do, she will not reply to that email until Monday when I see her at work. We'll talk work. So Saturdays and Sundays are personal to them. So it applies. It's not like they are rude. I feel like United States, like Americans are really principled people. They work with time. They have a method of working with things that if it's out, like they are structured that if it's out of this, it is out of it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much for that wonderful explanation as regards to cold emailing. I know that a lot of people who are very intentional about the application process are really taking down, like noting down a lot of points in this webinar, a lot of points that are really helpful, tips that are really helpful. Like when I was applying, you rarely get this kind of opportunities. So when you see this kind of opportunity, you make good use of it. These are people who have so many things to do, but have to like set aside this time to teach others ways to secure the kind of opportunities they have today. So I really appreciate my cohorts, Nathaniel and Amaka. So quickly we'll move over to academic qualifications. So Nathaniel, over to you. What academic qualifications, experiences, and skills do you think an applicant needs to have before considering applying for master's and PhD studies?
Yeah, thank you, Ugo. Firstly, the first thing you need is to have a bachelor's degree or a higher national diploma. That's like a BSc or a HND. That's like the very first of it, the academic qualification you need to get. That qualifies you for a master's studies or a PhD studies. And I think I should also mention at this point that not having a master's degree doesn't disqualify you from looking at or studying or applying for a PhD, a direct PhD in the US. We have you as a testament who, from BSc directly are studying for a PhD. So do not limit yourself. If you think you have a bachelor's, you do not have a master's, and you are aspiring for PhD studies, doctoral studies, go ahead. Look for schools that have got such plans and, make the applications. So if you have your degree, one other qualification that would work for you that might not be too academic, professional qualifications are also very important, for the profession or the area where we are where we are apparently as James's scholars. There's also the room for professional experience. You may not necessarily need to study a professional program to be a journalist or to be a communicator, but the whole essence of professional experience is to give you relatable knowledge that you apply during your studies. Do you get it? You may probably say, oh, I don't want to be a journalist at the end of the day. No, I don't want to be this. I don't want to be that at the end of the day. I just want to be maybe a scholar, maybe a researcher, maybe a professor at the end of the day. But the professional experiences you garner is one that would help you create relatable examples during discussions, and understand communication phenomenon a lot better. So for professional experiences, we have bodies like the NIPR, Nigerian Institute for Public Relations. We have NUJ, the Nigerian Union of Journalists. We have AMCRON, Association of Media Researchers, Association of Media and Communication Researchers Organization of Nigeria. That's AMCRON. There is another now. I don't know why the name is not coming. That's like the very, very common Association for Communication and Research and Media Researchers in Nigeria. But yeah, you have NIPR for public relations. You have NUJ for journalism. We have AMCON for advertisements. That's like for art. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as an undergraduate student, you can sign up to be a professional member of NIPR. They have a membership category for students. Or as a recent graduate, you also have the opportunity to apply for a membership with NIPR. It boosts your profile in terms of professional affiliations. That's the word. So it gives you an affiliation with professional bodies, and whoever goes through your CV and sees that, oh, this guy or this lady belongs to such professional bodies, especially here in the US where they take these things very serious. They say, oh, this person has a trajectory. There's already a network he's building, a network of people or professionals he interacts or she interacts with that should help her leverage on setting or help him leverage on setting privilege, knowledge, information, and exposure that would work for you at the end of the day. So I would advise that we look out for these bodies. They are a boost to your profile. And let me also add that, oh, you have 3 publications, you have research experiences and stuff. It might not be the same for everybody, but there are complementary areas that would, be more or less an advantage to your application package. And professional experiences and academic achievements are part of them. So I advise that if you can, look out for NIPR. If you want, I don't know, maybe on our WhatsApp platform, I'll probably put out a contact to NIPR head offices across the country. I'm a member of NIPR, and see how people on that platform, people on this call can leverage on such and get themselves and get professionally affiliated. So apart from your BSc certificate or your HM certificate, you need something of a professional affiliation that also boosts your profile, so.
Okay, so how do you advise applicants or people who are new to scholarship applications to search for schools? Like how, for instance, in the US, there are thousands of higher institutions. So like, how can they search for schools?
So firstly, one of the very remotest or commonest search engines, Google is there to help. Google is there, but one of the biggest issue, people don't know how to tailor their search because it is a very, very, very vast, large search engine that could easily make you lose focus or lose track of what your search should be about. So, simply start off communication programs in the US. As a simple search as that, a tailored simple search as that would expose you to certain schools where you find communication programs, you find journalism programs, you find mass communication programs. And let me also state, very, very important, that I have noticed that in the US, there are differences between communication studies and journalism. Sometimes, not exactly always, depending how the program of certain schools are modeled, but there are differences. If you want to do journalism, media studies, communication studies, mass communication, even mass communication sometimes are different, or those mass communication is most times linked with journalism. You want to also be very, very specific and first know your research interest and the areas you want to work on and how to make these searches. For my school, if you want to study my program and you go and search communication studies, you will not find it because we have journalism, we have communication studies as two different programs in two different colleges. Some schools would also have the same. So you need to be specific and know what you're looking for. There is also a website that I used during my time that has more or less the entire schools in North America, including Canada and the likes, foricu.org. Ugo, I don't know if you know that site.
Yeah. foricu.org.
Yeah, so aside Google, you might probably want to check out like the figure 4, letter I, C, and U.org.
I will type that in the chat.
Great. So that's one website where you find like a catalog of all the schools around. You just go there, you go to US, you go to Canada, or which country you want to search schools from, and you find them, and you begin to go website by website of different schools, looking at their communication programs, their journalism programs, their media programs, and see which aligns with you. But yeah, essentially, these are, tools that I feel we can use, to start off scouting of schools, scouting of programs, knowing what you need, knowing what you don't need. There's also a website, USA University News now. Ugo, please help me.
usnews.com.
usnews.com. Thank you. They also give lots of information about universities, schools, so you tailor your search. Please do not box yourself. If a particular school does not have what you want, or you feel you do not fit into their program, do not box yourself. Or, Ugo, just move. Ugo is at Iowa. You say you want to go to Iowa. Or Amaka is at Northern Illinois. You want to go there. West Virginia.
Don't have a favorite school. Or breakfast is real.
Do not box yourself. There are over 5,000 schools in the US. Explore, check, read up. It is painstaking, but trust me, at the end of the day, you'll be grateful and be glad that you did what you did. The guy who introduced me to studying in the US, he's at Tennessee. I started off looking at going to Tennessee. I thought I was not a fit for their program.
Yeah.
I don't move. I just had to go and check something else. And I found Michigan and West Virginia, and I ended up at West Virginia. So please do not box yourself. There are lots of schools. If you feel you do not fit, if you feel they're not accepting you, we move. Just go somewhere else.
All right, Netanya, thank you so much for that. Just to re-emphasize on what he said, searching for schools can be a very tedious process. So the 4icu.org that he recommended, which I just typed in the chat box for everybody to see, is very, very good because it helps you tailor down your search to region. Maybe you can see North America, then you tailor it down to US, you can even tailor it down to a particular state, and then you see all the schools that are in that state. What I did during my time was I searched all the schools in the US. I mean, it may be impossible for you to believe, but I searched all the schools in the US. I started from 4icu.org arranges the universities alphabetically. If you want, you arrange them alphabetically. If you want, you arrange them by ranking. So I arranged them alphabetically. So for each state, I saw the universities, got the links, the websites of those universities, went there. And once I, open the website of a university, I go straight to the course catalog where they list all the courses they offer. I run to C to check if they offer communication studies. If I don't see it, I run to J to see if there is journalism studies. Because they usually arrange them alphabetically. If there is no journalism, I scroll to M to see if there is anything like media studies, mass communication, like that. So once I don't find my courses of interest in that courses catalog, I just close the website and I go to the next. I went through, I searched all the schools. So the first thing I did was I came out with a list that list of schools in the US that offer, journalism, communication, media studies. So I now had to start using other rubrics, other kind of, let's say, indices for, trimming down the list of schools. So what I was doing was I was looking at schools that waive GRE, that waive TOEFL and IELTS, that have provisions for application fee waiver. Believe it or not, I never wanted to pay application fees. I never wanted to write TOEFL or IELTS. And I
did.
wanted to write GRE. So those were the things I was using to streamline my search. So by the end of the day, I had like maybe 100 universities. So what I did was I tried to get application fee waivers. So I couldn't get in most of them. So I got application fee waiver in like maybe 10 or 15 of them. So the challenge was that some had to ask for worse evaluation. It was another thing that once I see on the website, I move. I didn't want to do worse evaluation. I didn't want to do a lot of things. So it made me, do a lot of searching. You understand? That's why I tell people that scholarship application is a full-time job. So imagine if you have another full-time job you are doing and then trying to combine scholarship application process with that. It's really tedious. I was a youth corps member when I was, actively searching for schools. Sometimes my neighbors will have to, especially weekends, they will just have to come to my door and knock. Copper, we just want to be sure you are still alive. Because maybe it could be like 2 p.m. and then they've not seen me outside. They'll just be like, Copper, we just want to make sure you are still alive. Say, Copper is still alive, and we'll just laugh over it. So it's a tedious process. So when you have websites like this, they help you tailor your search proper. So Amaka, I will move over to you. Still on qualifications, just tell us, using your story, tell us about the HND story briefly. Tell us about WES evaluation for people who have higher national diploma qualification, the cost, what is the duration like? Does it have an advantage? Does it increase GPA? Then list of schools that people who have HND qualification can apply to. You may want to, like I informed you prior to the webinar, you may want to drop a link to such schools, and it will really be helpful for some people. So you have the floor now.
There is a list on my Twitter page and on LinkedIn.
Share the link here on the chat. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know. I would think my own graduate application process was really tedious, because sometimes, just like you put election, sometimes I literally search from states, all of the 54 states in the US. Now, I knew every of the states would have like higher institutions. So I searched based on R1, R2, and like normal school, the ones that are just there. So, but then some of them, a lot of schools in the United States actually accept HND. But the problem is finding which one and which one doesn't. And this is where, as a HND, someone with HND, you have to like double your own efforts. You do a lot of writing, a lot of inquiry email before sending in the application. Kent State showed me Pepe. When I was applying for admission, they told me that they accept HND.
Imagine.
And from the time that I applied to the time they were issuing admission, Kent State moved from R2 to R1. They started being selective.
Yeah, that's true.
God, I can never forget that experience. Because the professor that I was meant to work with actually reached out to me that he really likes my whole experience, because I was interacting with him. So he reached out to me and like, am I interested in their communication program? And at that point, Kent State was offering free waiver and everything. I was really like, that is why I say you people should not have a favorite scheme. In fact, your Ivy League school is the one that funds you the most, with the most comfortable conditions. That should be your best school. Because from the time I applied, I asked Kent, I have a HND, blah, blah. They were like, yes, good. From the time they were issuing admission, they went from R2 to R1. And this whole thing changed.
Yeah.
They were like, no, they're not going to accept my HND again. I'm like, I asked you. And now the most painful part for me was not that they said my certificate was not enough for them. In all of those application process, the painful part was recommendation. I would have actually used that recommendation for another school. So for people with HND, please ask these schools, CC the program coordinator, CC the graduate admission office. in your inquiry email, ask them, be very explicit, not just HND. HND in Ghana and HND in Nigeria are two different HND. HND in Ghana is 3 years, HND in Nigeria is 4, with 1 year compulsory industrial training. So make sure you explain these things very well. Tell them you have a HND and then go on ahead to tell them that the HND comprises of these and these. If they want, explain these things to them, because now I feel like I have that is like my current work involves reviewing CGPAs because we recruit teachers too. So I have come to know that, oh, even if you are in a higher institution like a university and you do your first 3 years, it's considered an associate, just like the way we have ND. So just if you're not done a 4-year course, if it's not up to 4 years, it's still an associate. So until it is up to like a 4-year degree, that is when it is considered a bachelor's degree or a baccalaureate degree. And then there is a way they in my office we have a CGPA calculator, how we rank Indian applicants or applicants from all over the world. We rank their CGPA system to make it suit the United States system. So as a HND holder, make sure you explain these things very well to them. Make sure you are on the same page with them before even applying. Then if you are doing well, there are some schools that would accept your HND with West. Case in point, American University, they were like, yes, they accept HND, but I have to do West evaluation. I told them I don't have money for West. They insisted. We went back and forth and they were like, okay, just give us the unofficial one. So they admitted me, but I didn't go there. But some of them would want West. My school doesn't want West. So it's basically like the West I did was waste of money, but it's not, because West will actually improve your CGPA. My CGPA on West went from 3.34 on a scale of 4 to about 3.60 something on a scale of 4. So it's increased it massively. And then it's tedious. If you have the money, do it, because now, just like Ugo said earlier, he didn't want to do TOEFL, he didn't want to do GRE. I was doing 2 jobs while I was in Nigeria. So at the moment, when I even saw that it was possible for me to even apply for a direct master's with my HND, any other metric or this thing, I just wanted to make sure that I cross all of them. I don't want to get to this point and you tell me, oh no, you can't do it. So I wrote to GRE, even though I did so badly, and then I wrote to the TOEFL, but I didn't end up using any of these actually. But I just wanted to make sure that it allowed me that it widened my horizon in terms of choosing schools. So if you have the money, do it. If you don't have the money, maybe you can skip it. And for master's applicants, trust me, PhD is giving much more consideration in terms of admission process than master's. So if you are admitted, it's very rare, unless for University of Alabama that was trying to be unfortunate last year. It is very rare for a school to give you a PhD admission without funding. It is very, very rare. And for them to actually consider you for admission, that means you have what it takes. Just like Nat with his lot of publications and Ugochukwu, that means you have what it takes. You have that research background and experience. So if you're going for your master's, I would highly advise you to do TOEFL or IELTS. Your funding, trust me, I'm talking from the back end now. Your funding is tied to that. At the graduate admission process, you will scale through to maybe get admitted because your level of English speaking and all that is good. But they have so much faith in that TOEFL and IELTS that when it comes to funding, they're going to look at your speaking score and say, let's grade it, let's scale it, they like for numbers to talk to them. They speak with numbers. So when they look at that number, 18/20 for TOEFL, and they're like, yeah, it is up there. For master's applicants, remember that for a master, some schools, for my school actually, they fund all their master's this thing. I think I wasn't funded because someone deferred their admission. So we are like 7 in my department, I think 1 from each continent. So someone from Africa, I'm the only African person for this thing. Someone from Africa deferred their admission. So they had to give that person priority consideration first before me. But then they waived my tuition. So some schools will want to admit you. They can't even admit you without funding you, actually. But there are from that, first of all, they will give the whole attention to PhD students, because these PhD students are people that actually increase their school ranking based on the number of research that comes out of the school. Do you understand? So they give them that high top priority. When there is any leftover funding, they come to you, masters. So if you're going to if you have the money, write the TOEFL, sit for it's gonna widen your horizon. But if you don't have the money, like me, I wrote it and I didn't use it, but then I had a teaching experience when I was teaching English language. And it was I had a teaching experience for more than 3 years. So usually it actually added to my own profile and everything, even though I didn't have conference and publication.
All right, thank you very much, Amaka. So in case you're just joining us, we started this webinar like an hour, 40 minutes ago. And we've been discussing preliminary considerations before application, pre-application process requirements, and we are now on the application proper. After which we'll move over to post-application, post-admission, and then postgraduate opportunities, and then sum it up with question and answers. I can see a lot of people raising their hands, but if you have questions, put them down right in the chat box, or you can just take note of them so that by the time we get to question and answer, we can answer those questions. But I would prefer you type them in the chat box so that we take them one after the other. So Nate, I would want you to talk about the statement of purpose, SOP, popularly known as SOP, the ingredients of writing a good SOP. Just tell us the structure, what it looks like briefly. We are, we are running out of time already.
I think Amaka should take that. She's the SOP guru, and yourself too.
Okay.
Amaka is the SOP guru.
Okay. So I'm not a SOP guru, but I actually love writing a lot. Okay. But unless when it comes to academic writing, I don't know why.
When it comes to many assignments, just say it.
I love writing, but then I feel like I love writing stories. But when it comes to academic writing, literally you have to read 5 articles to write 3 sentences. It's so tedious.
So Amaka, please just briefly tell us about SOP, how to write a good SOP briefly.
So SOP is like I said, that's what SOP is like. You imagine when you come to an interview and, let me put a hypothetical scenario when I was doing my interview in one bank like that in Nigeria. And then you come for an interview, you are there. They ask you, what is your qualification? You say, they ask you what. So you being there at that moment, imagine your SOP was there. So your SOP is basically talking for you, doing all of the whole talking, telling them this is where to look at in your application material. That is where to look at. Looking at your CGPA, or looking at your TOEFL material, or looking at your CV. Your SOP summarizes all of the whole thing. It tells them your intent, your purpose of coming to study there. Graduate school, not for you to come and just graduate school out of it. It's research. It's pursuit for knowledge. It's filling gap. It's telling them, this is what I read in that article, and I saw something was not good. I need to do it like that. It is basically finding new knowledge. So it's pure research. So if you're writing your SOP, I usually say, this is thank God we are all in the area of journalism. Why writing news? When I was working as a field journalist, we have that kind of way of coining headlines in a way that it will attract not just attention, but retain it. So when you're writing, human beings, the human mind is attracted by confusions. So now in this point, I will usually advise people to start with a problem statement. What is lacking in that field that you're going into? Now, when you start with a problem statement, you're telling them, this is what I want to pursue. That is it. This is how I intend to do it. And that is why I'm applying for it. So after that, you can go on and tell them maybe this is how I am prepared, your graduate school, your undergraduate experience, courses, if you have leadership skills, what has prepared you basically for this graduate school journey? How are this experience going to help you prepare you for graduate school journey? Trust me, your undergraduate experience comes in handy, both undergraduate and field experience. These are the things, this experience will help you in graduate school a lot. If you don't have those basic experience like thesis, like me in Polytechnic, we usually do two kind of research. So if you don't have that kind of hands-on experience, you will really find it very hard in graduate school. And then I would usually, after telling them how you're prepared to go into graduate school, I would usually tell people to go on to the research. What do you intend to research specifically? Who in the department, who does your own research align with? If you want to, and now like there are schools, I would think University of Arkansas, Little Rock. So I was admitted, but then when I was talking to the graduate program coordinator, he was like, the person that I referred, that they are going to like withdraw the admission. Why? The person that I wanted to work with for my SOP had transferred. She got another offer in another school. So there won't be someone. So there are schools like that. That's the truth. You can't even study. If a school is studying communication, health communication, and you come and say, you want to study political communication. If there is no concentration of political communication in that school, they won't accept you. That's the truth. So it is very, very recommended that you go to the departmental website. The faculty members, look at their research interest. What you want to study. Does any person on that list have this kind of research area? It's going to help you. It helps them to maybe assign a supervisor to you or even an advisor that can help you in related research areas. And then you go on ahead and tell them, why are you even choosing this school? Why does the school stand out for you? Among about 5,000 schools in the US, why are you picking us? What do you think we are offering you the best? How are we offering you? Some people go about to tell about maybe like curriculum, research, ranking, a lot of things. And then talk about your long-term goals, things that you tend to do after this phase. If you're applying for a master, some people go to say maybe they want to start their PhD or they want to be an academic researcher, or talk about your long-term plans. And then the whole writing style, people have different writing style, and SOP is not this is how it should be kind of thing, because now different personalities across the United States, you're writing to different people. So what the writing style that I like might not be the same writing style that this person likes. So it is very tricky knowing the kind of writing style. But what I tell people is limit pity party if you can, because I mean you're battling with so many applicants from around the world. If you're going to use a pity party, make sure if you're citing your pity party as a sort of motivation, not as them to look at you and say, this person is poor. They know Africa is poor. This person is poor. Let's consider it. It doesn't work like that. If you're citing that maybe, I've been reading a lot of SOP. Some people will say they are hungry when they were growing up. How does you being hungry when it's not a bad thing, like honestly, but how when you were growing up and you suffered hunger, how is it motivating your quest for graduate school? This is what I mean by allowing your personal story to be your motivation for graduate school. What is now, because you have experienced it, what are you doing to stop hunger? Do you understand? And one thing I like about communication is that it is just everywhere.
Exactly.
You can hunger should be maybe people in agriculture, but trust me, when you write it very well, you can communicate to maybe create awareness about hunger, sustainability, and all those things. So how is your experience coming from a very poor background motivating you to stop poverty? This is where it should come, your personal story. But if you don't have a personal story, if you don't know how to tell pity party or stories, go straight to your motivation, research. You understand? So I usually tell people to go through if you can, go through the storytelling pattern, where you tell, like, maybe if it's a personal story, but make sure you align it in a way that this is your driving force. You have come from and I mean, what I noticed from because I've been doing so many volunteering things, what I noticed among them here is that they have that wide experience or wide expectation of Africa being so dirty place filled with poverty-stricken kids. So when you tell this story, make sure you align it. I was reading a story, I was reading an SOP, it kept coming into my head. There was this person was saying he was being maltreated by their auntie, and I don't understand. And I get that you were maltreated, hunger and everything. He was talking about how he's going into research. It was not related. Please, if you're bringing in your personal story, make sure. Some people even say maybe they lost a cousin to cancer. This has actually motivated them to go into research. Do you understand? Make sure your personal story is your driving force, because you can't bring in we don't want to know who you are. We don't want to know what you're bringing to the table. So if you are telling us that you were maltreated as a kid, how does it help us? What does it bring to us? So that is basically it. And then use, if you know Grammarly, they will help your writing actually. Use Kubots. This writing app or grammar checking app will help your writing. And then make sure that each paragraph, rule of thumb for SOP or maybe other writing, like my own, I spent a whole lot of time writing my SOP. People have it's your story, you actually know what to write. But most of the time, people find it difficult to actually know where to start. Now, what I tell people is when you divide it by paragraphs, it becomes easy. And then write a paragraph as a unit. Don't combine everything. Don't combine everything. It's going to be very hard for you. If you're talking about your motivation for graduate school, why? Like, focus on that particular paragraph. Write it independently. If you're writing about how prepared are you to prepare, how prepared you have been for graduate school, write it as a single paragraph. Do not combine it yet. Write it as a single paragraph. Don't say, my motivation, then this is how. Just write them differently. This is how. Write everything that has motivated you, that has prepared you, your graduate, your research skills, your conference, your classroom experience, your work experience. Write all of them as a single paragraph. Go to your research interest. Write it as a single paragraph. Go to why you are picking this school. Write it as a single paragraph. Then when you write all these things, maybe getting about like 5 to 6 or 4 to 6 paragraphs, you can then say, yes, let me edit. This is when you are going to know that. And when you are writing these things by paragraph, it is very hard for you to repeat motivation for graduate school. You repeat that same thing in what has prepared you, like how prepared you have become. It is very hard because you're focusing on one thing at a time. And then when you edit each paragraph one after the other, you can then combine all of these paragraphs. You make a very perfect SOP.
All right, thank you so much for that explanation about what SOP is and how to write a good one. So I will talk about the academic CV. It's what you need. It's a document you need while applying. So it's not like the thing is, it's not like the regular kind of CV that we know, maybe we use for job applications. So it's different and it's structured differently. So I will use mine as a guide. So the first thing that should be on your academic CV, I'm talking about the subheadings, post-secondary education, anything after secondary school. They don't want to know what you did in high school, except you're applying for undergraduate program. So if you're applying for master's and PhD, then your academic qualification should be everything you did after, your high school, your secondary school, as we call it in Nigeria. So you list the course, you attach the name of the university or the name of the polytechnic next to it, its location, then the date you graduated. You move down, you talk about the thesis or the project, the title of your undergraduate project, your HND or final year project. Then if you want to, you include your GPA, So what I advise people to do is, what was the highest GPA you had? You can include it on that same line as major GPA. Then you also include your final cumulative GPA, or you finally graduated. Then I have made posts and tweets about how to calculate the percentage of your CGPA, or how to know the equivalent in the US, like how to know the equivalent of a 3.58 CGPA in the US 4.0 CGPA system. So if you know the percentage, put it in bracket, maybe 97%, 70%, 55%, put it there. Then if you know the class you graduated with, were you in the top 1%? For instance, if you are 200 in class, the easiest way to know this is if they did convocation for you, if your set was officially convocated, like you guys were convoked. So what you need to do is that kind of brochure or magazine that they shared that day, maybe where they wrote the names of the graduates. So go there. It is usually arranged according to, maybe they will start with those who had first class, second class, upper second class, lower. So you know the position where you are. So you can know if you graduated in top 1%. There are some schools that will help you, state that clearly, top 5%, top 10%, and all of that. So if the grade was a distinction as applied to polytechnics in Nigeria, or upper credit, lower credit, or first class, second class, upper, you state that there. Then the next is you talk about your maybe honors and awards. Have you ever won an award, or have you been recognized for something? You list it as, you list those under that subcategory. Then you move to professional membership and affiliation. Nathaniel talked about earlier, joining like the NUJ, NIPR, AppCon, and the rest of them. You list them there, and then the day, or the year you joined. Then you move to relevant work experience. I said relevant in the sense that your 2 years work experience at a bar, as a sales girl, or as a sales boy, as we call them in Nigeria, is not relevant in your application for maybe journalism studies. So you only, include work experiences, IT, what we call industrial training, or internships, then you may include that there, or you may use internships to create a separate kind of, subheading. So you also have like teaching experience. If you have teaching experience for those who have served, who have graduated and served, if you were posted in a school where you taught, then that comes as teaching experience. You put that there. Then we have volunteering and internship. If you have volunteered with organizations, put them there. If you've not, try and volunteer and get the experience. Then you have research experience and interest. Then that's where you talk about your research trajectory, what you are interested in, like what area of research have you been exposed to, and going forward, which areas of research are you interested in? You state that under there. Then you move down to the section that says publications. If you have publications, list them there. If you have any research you are working on, put it under the subcategory that says maybe awaiting publication or manuscript in writing, put it there. And like we said, it's not a death sentence when you don't have it. Then leadership experience. A lot of people do the, what do they call them in Nigeria again? Aluta. A lot of them do Aluta, and, they graduate and they don't even know the relevant experience, So all in, SUG, student union government, or whatever they call them, class rep, course rep, whatever leadership position, even if it's in church, any position, any opportunity you've ever had to lead in whatever capacity, listed as leadership experience. I made that post and someone was, arguing, that I told them that leadership experience, capturing that in your CV is very important, in the sense that leadership comes in play in everywhere. In grad school, for instance, if you are a first author of a research publication, to lead that research, it means you have to lead that research and coordinate other co-authors. So that's leadership experience needed in grad school. So having a prior leadership experience is, also a boost. Then you move to the section that says personal skills. Maybe if you have, maybe like communication skills. For me, I talked about my writing skills, speaking, editing, research, analysis, which I garnered through years of, years as a researcher, as a news editor, as a radio presenter, as a graduate teaching assistant, where I served in a university during National Youth Service. Then other interpersonal communication experiences, public speaking, teamwork, management. I just categorize that as personal skills, as a section. Then I moved to the ICT skills, the soft skills, like, your knowledge of softwares like maybe MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint, CorelDRAW, if you know about blogging, search engine optimization, all those, tech-related skills, put them under ICT skills. That's a subsection. You move to languages spoken. For me, it was what I never wanted to exclude from my CV because I never wanted to write IELTS or TOEFL. So that was where I argued that I'm fluent in English. I made them to understand that it's my home country's official language and the medium of instruction for all the higher institutions I attended, So then I concluded my, CV, academic CV with the subsection that says interest, / hobbies. That's where I mentioned research interest. You have to be intentional. I mentioned research, I mentioned interest. Let them know that I'm interested in research and teaching, public speaking, sustainable development goals, and blogging, sports. Grad school is difficult. Nathaniel and Amaka can attest to that. It's difficult. So they want to be sure that you have hobbies, other interests outside academia that can help you keep your sanity, because there are days people go into depression in grad school. It's no joke. The education system here it's on another level. The workload is crazy. So they want to be sure you have some kind of hobbies that can at least, once in a while take your mind away from academia so that you can, refuel and then, get back to whatever you are doing. So that being said about the academic CV, I want Nathaniel to talk about writing sample. Just tell us what a writing sample is and what documents can an applicant submit as a writing sample. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Trying to be time conscious now. So writing sample is particularly needed because they want to be sure that you can actually write, because communication comes in two areas, verbal communication and oral communication, written communication now. So writing sample is sort of stuff for your school to attest, see something tangible that you can actually, put out logical thoughts and, more or less construct logical reasoning in a way that is relatable by people around you or the audience that is meant to, read through. So writing samples, most times, for my school, emphasis is placed on academic writing.
Yeah.
As writing samples. And I think at most schools, especially for the kind of program that we do, they want to see academic writings as a way to attest for your written communication skills. But then again, we've also had instances where people, now when we talk about academic writings now, talk about journal articles, talk about publications, talk about papers, they all constitute academic writings, anything that you probably, put together as a written document or article or assignment for for academic consumption.
Mm-hmm.
Those are academic writings, and most writing samples are usually appreciated in graduate school if they are from areas like that. But you could also have non-academic writing samples. It could be feature story that should probably published for a news outlet. It could be a news article.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, so Amika, please, can you tell us about portfolio? What a portfolio is in brief, and how to go about that? What qualifies for a portfolio?
So
Okay.
Okay, Amaka, okay, good.
Portfolio. Now, I was attending to some comments in the comment section.
Okay.
So, as someone in the field of journalism and mass communication, a portfolio should be anything at all. When I mean anything, if you have a blog that you're writing, maybe it's your hobby, Like I have about 5 blogs that on my own, this is what I do. Like, so if you have this kind of thing, okay, now how did I even combine my, because you cannot bring all these things like a media document. So what I usually advise people to do when combining a portfolio is this. It is either you bring like a document, the way like a blank document, copied URL of these links, paste on this place. Then if it's like a media, like when I was doing field journalism, we have like all the photos and videos that when we are on the field, so you can upload them on a blank document, right? So create a Google Drive, upload all of these pictures and videos. Even me, when I, my teaching experience, when I was organizing debates, presentations, and all of these competitions, I have many videos, awards, and all of it. It speaks a lot about, I feel like that was why these things actually covers my publication pitfalls. So if you are a field journalist, if you're doing camera operation, there should be some kind of confirmation or things that related. So if you create a Google Drive, you can post all of these things in one folder, copy the link to that Google Drive, put it there. Then if you are involved in maybe writing anything that is related to media, community services, volunteering, because me, I have an initiative where we usually go to rural communities and schools and share school books, bags. I was very actively involved in Give a Girl Child a Pad, you know, all of these community services and volunteering things. If you have a picture of that, create like a Google Drive, get the link of this Google Drive, and now you don't just log them into one folder. You can say this folder like my own. I was like teaching folder. I make sure everything about my teaching experience is in that folder. Then you come and say community service, everything about Give a Girl Child a Pad, back to school with Amy, you know, all of those things were in that community service. Then if you have my journalism experience, I had so many media documents, even right from school when I was doing assignments and projects. All of these counts as your experience. When I was doing, I was sleeping on the studio doing documentary from Oko to Ikulobe, and they were taking us. I took all of those pictures when I was serving as I'm a field journalist. I took all of those pictures. I was like journalism experience. I put in those folder. Then if you have a website, for me that I had websites, I put all my websites. If you have a YouTube channel, it demonstrates your communication skills. Put it there. Me that I did quite a couple of advertising for companies while I was in Nigeria. I got all the link, like all of the websites, like there was a hotel that I did advertising for. I went on their Instagram page, got links of this place, of all these things, got the link and put it on the blank page. So on that blank page, what we are looking at is a portfolio and links of things that you've done, links of Google Drive folders, links of your advertising experience, link of your, do you understand? So we are talking about links. And now when you're talking about links, you like explain which link, because they can't actually know which link you're doing. So if you paste anyone, put a bracket, this is what this link is talking about. If you are maybe, if you have a conference presentation that that was taken, do you understand, that was recorded or something, if you have a Google Scholar account, if you have like all of your published articles, take all of these things and put them, they qualify as a portfolio. That is what it is. You are mute.
Ogo, you need to unmute your mic.
All right, so thank you very much.
Yeah, so quickly, there is a website where, you know, people in JMC can use to, you know, get a portfolio for themselves. Muckrack.com. You could check it out, guys. muckrack.com. There is a provision for journalists to make, for people in journalism, communication, media, PR, to make a portfolio, to create a portfolio for themselves for free. So just quickly put that out there. If you have links, if you have pictures, you can put out your, you can, you know, like link all your social media handles and all of those things. So check out mockcrack.com.
If you can create a mini website, trust me, it's gonna make so much difference on your
Mhm.
application. Like me, I had a mini website, like I have
Okay.
that tech background, right?
Okay.
So I created a mini website and then I hosted it on WordPress and on Blogspot. So I kind of created it down, like I put it on my CV about me. So once you click there, you just see everything about me, everything.
Okay, that's awesome. Nathaniel, quickly check the link I sent in the chat and know if that's correct, the MockRack website. So Nathaniel will be asking you TOEFL, IELTS, GRE, GMAT, all these test scores. Are they major requirements? Like, is this something that people can get admitted into the university without having?
Okay, to run on that one very quickly. So test for English and also GRE, General Records Examination, are usually demanded by schools in the US. But however, we can always look out for exemptions and ask for waivers, you know, if you want to, if you don't want to write the exam, like Ugo mentioned some times ago, he was intentionally looking out for schools where he wasn't going to be asked for test of English or to write GRE exams. Yeah, it was the same thing for me. I got admitted without writing GRE, without writing TOEFL. You know, nobody was going to test my English because, I mean, come on, guys. You know, so my school demanded for GRE, but there was an exemption for professionals with I think 3 years experience or something, you know. So even if you graduated last year, you can simply just, or probably been working with your school's radio station, or probably did something for your school's, you know, magazine or newspaper, if that's what your school had something like that, like mine. Because before I graduated, I was already working for my school radio station as a volunteer, you know, and then I finished school immediately. I got into the media, you know, and I did my stuff. So apparently, I'm just saying my GRE was waived because of the number of years I had worked in the industry, just a few years. So they just need something like 3 years. So some schools might ask for GRE, but don't be shy to ask for waivers based on your years of probably practice or exposure to certain aspects of the media. It helps. Don't be scared to ask for waivers based on your academic performances and your academic achievements in the past. You know, the same applies for TOEFL and IELTS. You mustn't necessarily write those exams.
All right, thank you, Nathaniel. Thank you, Nathaniel. So Amaka, quick one. What are the popular ways of getting application fee waivers?
Okay, one of the most popular ways is attending grad school open house, grad school events. So all of the schools I know, I don't know if there is any school that doesn't do that, do that, but most schools do what they call open house. So open house is basically like an event where they kind of advertise their programs, their school. Like, I don't know if you're seeing that in your school. Sometimes when I'm going to class, you see quite a group of people with someone leading them and telling them this is that, that is that. So for prospective students, so these are for people that can come in person, right? So there is also a program where they do it virtually. They tell you about their program, about department, banking and everything. So most of the time, schools that organize these things, they offer application fee waivers for participants. Another way that you can get your fee waived is by asking, just like Nathaniel said. And when I talk about asking, don't be shy to ask about funding. Ask, like literally ask, and it shall be given unto you. So don't be shy to ask about it. Tell them that I don't know how to structure it right now, but you have maybe like economic hardship, not just, okay, now, a lot of people have been coming, this is a tip that I'm giving generally, a lot of people have been coming from the point of economic hardship. And some schools will argue that if you cannot afford an application fee, how then can you fund graduate school? So I would really recommend to everybody here to not just give an economic hardship excuse. Tell them that your country has banned international fee payments. You can't even make this payment. And then secondly, now a second example, a second reason that this payment, considering what's this thing they call it? Minimum wage. You can't even afford this fee. But make sure that first of all, these things are verifiable facts, right?
Yeah.
That your card can't make international application fees.
Yeah.
Then also on top of that, you now compare that the minimum wage compare. Do you understand that you can't even afford this? Then what I'm saying is that even though you're going to mention economic disadvantage, don't make it your central point.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you very much. So once you are, done sorting out your application fee, either by paying for it or by getting a waiver code, you go ahead and submit your application. And one of the common frequently asked question about submission is, will I get funding for submitting early? No, if an application timeline is from August to December, submitting in August is not a guarantee for getting the assistantship or for getting the funding. You may submit in August and somebody who submitted in December will get the funding and you will not get the funding. So take your time. When they say this is the application span that it spans from August to December or from August to February the following year, take your time and prepare a solid application and then, submit something tangible. Have like a second eye look at your application materials. It must not necessarily be someone who is, studying abroad. A colleague, a friend, a brother can help you and look at your application materials and spot out some obvious things that you can, rework on. So that being said, we are done with the application proper phase of this webinar. So we are now talking about post-application and post-admission. So Nathaniel, what happens after submitting an application? Is Nathaniel still with us?
You are on mute. Unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. Got stuck. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
I can hear you.
Okay, so after submitting your application, you go into the waiting period, and that's the period I call the hypertensive period, because you're more or less, praying and hoping things turn out in your favor. But be that as it may, it is also that period where you consolidate and also, try to show a different side of you. What I mean is, you could probably wait for 2 months, for 3 months, or even more. And for someone like me, one of the things I was doing was to keep in touch with the graduate coordinator and then a few of the professors I could mail. What I was doing, I was emailing them, during the Christmas period. I sent them text, I sent them email, but I was first sure that, they were down for such celebrations. During the Thanksgiving in the US, usually I think around November, the 3rd week of November, 3rd week or thereabout.
Yeah.
I emailed them happy Thanksgiving and a few lines here and there.
Yeah.
So during that period where we are waiting, be kind enough to keep in touch with these professors, especially if you are going through the code mailing period, going through code mailing. And there are also instances where logically you expect that an admission decision should have been made on the application, and you think it's taking longer than usual, or you probably have someone who applied the same program as you at the same school, and that person has been, has been, what's the word now? That person has been communicated with a decision. And
they've sent a decision, an offer.
And it's not coming forth for you. Be kind enough to send, a reminder mail to the graduate coordinator. Be humble in your sentence construction. Don't be too confrontational. Have that very good approach. So if you probably feel there should be a decision by this time, what is happening? By the virtue of what you've heard from other applicants from the same college or the same school, there is no harm. For me, my 2 admissions, I did not get a decision until I mailed the both of them, like the 2 schools. I had to mail the both of them, the 2 grad codes, before, congratulations, blah, 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 and then it reflected on my portal. Please don't forget to always check your portal. You could be sent an email or an instruction to turn in a document, I think I was late for about 2 weeks on a particular document I needed to send. Apparently, my transcript wasn't delivered in time by my institution, and I was sent a reminder on my application portal on the school's website, but I did not see it because I had a 2 weeks gap that I did not check. It mustn't be daily, but if you can do daily, why not? Always keep tabs on your mail, keep tabs on your portal, send emails, reminder emails, greeting emails to professors and grad corps. It will do a lot of good.
All right, thank you so much, Nathaniel. So Amaka, please quickly in a minute, tell us about the visa process, just in a minute, because these are people who are even yet to get admission. We just want them to have an
have an overview.
What to expect. Thank you.
After the admission, the next step is your I-20. The school will send you an I-20. Most of the time, even after the admission, they have like a period when they start processing an I-20. So for my school and most schools, they usually start around March. So you get your I-20. The next step is for you to pay your visa fee. So visa fee is around 72,000. Abi?
As at then?
As at then.
I
With the dollar rate.
Because of the exchange rate.
Yeah, with the dollar rate. So you pay your visa fee and then you start filling your DX-160. There is a whole lot of tips here, and God willing, we'll keep in touch and maybe organize something like this when that time comes, because you don't want to make any mistake on your DX-160. Trust me.
Sure.
You do not. And then there are cases where people have conflicting information. They have a different work experience, and now they want their transcript to look like this, like myself. So there is a way that you can maybe go about all these things, and then, you go about it, like arrange your profile so well that it aligns with whatever you're saying. Like,
so
if
thank you.
you say this is it,
Thank you,
that
Amaka.
is it.
Thank you. Thank you. So in a sum, she's saying that after getting admitted, you request for your Form I-20 from your school. So the school may have some requirements you need to meet. The common thing is they will ask you to provide proof of funding. So if you got graduate assistantship, teaching research assistantship, administrative assistantship, that becomes your proof of funding. So you show the university that, hey, you got funded, so that becomes your proof of funding. So they send you the Form I-20, which you use to now proceed, on your visa application process. You do the service fee payment, the visa application fee, you fill your DS-160 form, like you said. You start joining date search groups. You have to search for visa dates. It's really, Nathaniel, what we passed through?
That period is crazy. It's crazy, man.
Permit me to dedicate these few seconds to that period. It was something as we like Nathaniel and I, we couldn't sleep again, because maybe just when you want to go to the restroom, just
that is when
2 minutes in the restroom and you come back and they will tell you, oh, dates appeared, like maybe 20 slots, and those slots were taken. So I told myself that I'm not going to stool again. I'm not going to have my bath again. I'm not going anywhere until I get this date. It was
I actually got about 3 to 4 dates. I was switching.
Imagine, and you were busy switching, So it was something else. So even myself and Nathaniel, what we did was we exchanged contacts. If Nathaniel is online and then there are dates, he will just hit me up like, hey guy, dates are available now. I will just come online. If I see, I hit him up like that. So those are the kind of collaborative efforts you may want to, consider when it is time for, visa application process. So now life in grad school. Nathaniel, I would want you to go first. Briefly, in summary, what is life in grad school like, combining work and studies and trying to beat deadlines week in, week out?
So let me start off by saying there is a very popular notion that a Nigerian graduate can actually work or school effectively in any country in the world. That lie from the pit of hell. Look, I'm not talking down on what we had to go through in Nigeria. Shout out to our professors who had to make do with the little they had. But trust me, the US is an eye-opener. I literally have assignments like every day, a particular lecture, every professor, every class an assignment, And then this other one every week, you know, I have papers to write for every course I'm doing. You know, so I want to say, trust me, I'm not trying to make you guys, or we're not trying to make you guys scared, but it is not easy. Just know that you will come and you will work.
Yeah.
You will read. I'm sure as JMC, we can relate to Dennis McQuail, yeah, the Canadian scholar. Bros, Dennis McQuail had a run for Nigeria. Lecturer came to class. The first day, he distributed each chapter to each of us, presentation. Next day of class, you know, Dennis McQuail, theories of mass communication and stuff. So simply put, it's not easy, not a bed of roses. You'd have your fun, but trust me, you would work if you want to excel here.
You must
That's
put
what
in
it
the
is.
work. So Amaka, please
You
tell
must
us.
be a very good time manager. Be a very good time manager. That will be the only way you'd, you know, help yourself out of the troubles. I don't want to take so much time on it.
Amaka, so just tell us your grad school experience, like in some.
I feel like I'm getting PTSD, even though I've not actually passed this stage, because, you know, I went back to my CV where I said I love reading. I removed it. I was like, I don't like reading again. Jesus, I'm not joking. No way. I'm literally reading about, you know, when we were in Nigeria, you are given like 2 or 3 textbooks for that particular course. And that is the whole thing for this semester. But on Blackboard, each particular class has a different textbook. I'm reading every day. This semester alone, honestly, I'm not lying. This is one of the reasons I want to change. This semester alone, two terminal papers. One semester. I feel like it's too much. And you know that my school doesn't have a PhD. So I feel like they're exacting all of the whole pressure. Because if they had a PhD, they would have you have the attention would be kind of divided. So it's crazy. I have a deadline on Monday, 17th. I have a deadline on 19th. I have a deadline on 20th. I have a deadline on 24th. I have a deadline on 28th. I have a deadline on November 7th. And I'm not joking. It's crazy. America is sweet, though. America is sweet. But, do you know, sometimes when I talk about this thing, people will be like, watch a TV. Sometimes if you're watching a TV, you feel like you're wasting time. That's the truth. That is how hard it is. That you have to manage at a point, because I didn't have, okay, now, for someone, you must not get a graduate assistantship in your department, right? For some people that, for me, I'm not working in my department. So it was really hard because most of the departmental events were coined to fit into their own time. Sometimes when they will be having this kind of thing, I'll be working. I cannot leave my work. Well, I cannot leave my work to attend events. I'll just tell them to record and send to me. Sometimes when you're watching this record, you'd have an assignment to do. Time management is key. It is key. America is free to, you enjoy your life for free food, free pantry. But you will work.
All right, thank you so much. You know, in summary, you've heard it all. Grad school is not a bed of roses, you know. Like I also had that mindset, like if I survived in Nigeria, where am I not going to survive? Of course, definitely you will survive.
I was doing 2 jobs.
But you will survive, but it's not easy. Like it's not, especially the first week or the first few weeks, you know, of you trying to transition into a new system, a new environment, you know, trying to settle down. And then the professors are already trying to, you know, put you in, like, it's not easy. Like, you know, every grad student in the US, we are making reference to the US because Nathaniel, Amaka, and I, we are here in the US. So grad school here, you know, is rigorous. That's the word they use. Even on their websites, you know, they will tell you that they want to be sure that you can survive in a rigorous, you know, academic environment. So, you know, you pay attention to details. I never knew like how to, or I never paid attention to how to like set up reminders and all those. But here, if you don't set a reminder, you may end up missing something that will cost you your scholarship or your program. So every like a day I set up so many reminders, you know, maybe on Outlook, or I just use the notes pad and I just set up a reminder, you know, so you don't miss out on anything. Like they said, time management is very important. So with time management, you can survive it. It's not, and with time, I think with time, you get used to the system. and then you begin to devise your personal strategies on how to survive, you know. So right now, yeah, this is like 2:30 here. It should be around 8:30 in Nigeria, West Africa. So I want us to now move over to the question and answer session. So we are going to start from the chat box. We'll also go over to Facebook because we are live on Facebook. We are streaming live on Facebook, and people from LinkedIn and Twitter have connected, you know, through that. I had wanted us to stream live on YouTube, but I realized I had to request and wait for like 24 hours before it can be granted. So the first question here says, why can't I find the questions? Looks like they are just comments. Can I get a summary on the previous discussions? This webinar is recorded. So after this, it is going to be posted. So at your convenient time, maybe another weekend or whenever you're free, you can watch it. So in case you missed the earlier part of the webinar, it's recorded. You have nothing to fear about. So I have a question on assistantships. Do I type or I can talk? That's actually not a question. So, okay. Why am I finding it difficult to see the questions? Okay, please, can you talk about communication for development? That's DevCom, development communication. It's an aspect we talk less about in Nigeria. Of course, DevCom is a very important aspect of communication, especially in Nigeria, because we are still struggling with development. And that's why, you know, we did not even meet up with the Millennium Development Goals, and the whole world moved over to sustainable development. We carried it over. We carried MDGs over to SDGs. So development is really an important topic of discourse in Nigeria. And even here, the thing is, you should think about postgraduate. For instance, in the US, their problem is no longer development because it's a developed nation. So if you are coming here to read development communication, where are you going to apply it after graduation? And definitely you're going back to Nigeria or Africa or where you come from to go and apply it. You know, so you have to think about that. It's also a good one. So someone asked, what is R2 and R1 and which should
by the way, for that person who asked about DevCom, I'll probably just mention a few schools you're going to check out. Check out Ohio University. They do a program, Communication and Development Studies. I'm going to check out Temple University. They do Communication for Development and Social Change. Check out University of Oklahoma. They do DevCom and Social Change also. So check out these three: Ohio University, Temple University, University of Oklahoma.
The prof himself. So you heard the prof himself.
The person, I would suggest that if you're looking for schools, especially if you want to like streamline it to a particular study area or interest, you use the Niche app. It will allow you to search for schools and related schools. Okay. When you search for one school, you're gonna see like related schools.
I think you typed it in the chat box. I saw that.
And then someone that studied DevCom can actually be focused on NGO studies, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question here is what's R2 and R1? Just briefly, Amaka.
Okay, R2 is high research. But this kind of institution are very involved, like their whole soul of existence is basically on research. They engage in a lot of research. And then R2 also involve research, but not as tediously or as tightly as R1. And then when it comes to funding, R1 receives more funding than R2. So the way we have budgets in Nigeria, where government fund institution, when it comes to educational funding, R1 schools get more funding than R2 schools. So basically, some R2 schools, just like I mentioned earlier, Kent State going from R2 to R1. So most R2 schools would put pressure on you, just like they're putting on me now, because they want to get a lot of research come out of their school or institution so that they can join R1 to get more funding.
Okay, so Natania, you have something to add?
Nothing too different. Okay, R1 high research activities, R2 high, but not as high as R1. And you want to check out these R1 institutions on probably Google or something. I think there are about 146 in the US that are categorized as R1.
They are not up to 200, and
Yeah.
there are thousands of higher institutions in the US. So for you to know that that's a high priority, if you want to get into R1 universities, then you have to put in the work. And then another clear distinction is there is more funding, like Amaka said, which means translates into more scholarship opportunities, more assistantship opportunities for applicants compared to R2. R2 will give you admission and then may not have funding for you, but majority of R1 fund their admitted students. So you may want to prioritize. So just type on Google R1, list of R1 university. What R1 means is research one. So you type list of R1 universities in the US. They will show you the list, and then
please let me say something. When you're applying, do not focus on just R1, please, because R1 usually have a very strict admission policies.
Very competitive.
Very competitive. So because you don't want, I assume that nobody here wants to stay back home by this time next year, right? So you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Like I said, when I was applying, I applied and I kind of categorized my schools, R1, R2. So apply to R1 schools, apply to R2 schools, apply to even normal schools. Do you understand? So that when you just have that leverage of choosing which one you want to go to.
All right, thank you. So someone asked here, how about Duolingo? I think that was when we were talking about TOEFL, IELTS, other English language testing or proficiency exam. So the person is asking, how about Duolingo? How do they rate them? Is it the same way they rate TOEFL, IELTS? See, this thing is, it is stated on the website of every program, every university you are interested in. They will tell you, you see the requirements when it comes to English proficiency requirements, they will tell you the very test scores they accept. If they accept TOEFL, they will tell you, yes, they accept TOEFL, and then the score they accept. If they accept, IELTS, they will tell you. If they accept Duolingo, they will tell you. So if you have already searched for schools and streamlined, like you have your own list of schools you want to apply to, and they accept Duolingo, then go ahead and write it. So this person asked, Ijoma asked, I have a West evaluation. Should I include it in my code email? My IELTS just expired in September. I want to apply for a master's in communication. I have HND 3.25 and PGD journalism with 3.94 question for Amaka. Yeah, I wanted to say Amaka should answer, and she already directed it to you. I think you answered her in the chat box.
Yes, that person actually has like a very good, because 3.94 is on a scale of 4, right? I am assuming. So that's a very good CGPA.
That's distinction.
First class.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of first class.
Yes, exactly. So that's a really high CGPA. They should, shoot their shot and get a PhD. I mean.
Okay, thank you for that. So this person says, concerning assistantships, is there a range we should look out for? A school told me $8,000 stipend for an academic year is low. How true is this, please? $8,000 should be for a whole year. Nathaniel?
8K for a year.
A whole year.
That's not plenty, to be frank. Maybe
it's plenty in the car.
Maybe
it's location dependent.
So, yeah, thank you. I was just gonna say that it's depending on your location. That would be like maybe $750 per month or something. So it depends on where
my own. I'm paying like $350 here.
Yeah, so I mean, it all depends on where you're staying. If you probably have people around, or you want to do, there are websites that calculate living standards of states in the US and cities. So check that out. If you're going to California, you'll suffer. If you're going to Los Angeles with that money, you'll suffer. But I mean, even in West Virginia, you do well with that money.
Washington DC with that money.
So it's location dependent, but do not get discouraged at the same time. Do not get discouraged at the same time. Make sure you have everything tidied up. You cross your eyes and you cross your T's and you dot your I's. Just make your location
would carry what you are being paid.
Okay, so
let me add something that I think we usually ignore. Even with a graduate assistantship, you should make sure you come with your own personal fund because they don't start paying you immediately. So come with your personal funds that will be enough for you for at least 1 month. Because you're going to pay for your rent from your pocket. Feed yourself and do all of those first month things from your pocket. And then some schools will want you to pay rent, first month and security deposits, which is equivalent to your first month. Some places will even take first month's rent, security deposits, and your last month rent. So you are going to factor all these things and then check. Like me, I didn't go to some school. I didn't choose some schools because of cost of living. So Washington, D.C. gave me funding. But when I went to some of their webinar sessions, they were like, one apartment is 1,800 for 1 month. Washington, D.C., 1,800 for 1 month apartment, no feeding, nothing. I had to advise myself and myself. So I had to ask someone in this school, please, how much am I likely to spend in a month? They said plus or minus 500. See 500, see 1,008. I had to advise myself and make a good choice. This is what I'm saying. So when you're even choosing school, factor all these things before going.
Yeah, so like she said, cost of living, cost of living in that very location is something you should pay attention to. Reach out to current graduate students in that program, in that school. For me, when I'm reaching out, I target people from maybe Nigeria or maybe from Africa. They can easily reply me. So I reach out to them, and ask them, how is it like to survive there with this kind of funding and all that? So, one thing is grad students will be very truthful to you, especially if you go to Twitter, they are very raw. They may even discourage you, don't apply. Some of us, we don't know how to go out. That is why we are here. They are very truthful, they will tell you, as it is, because that's behind the scene. Always reach out to them. And like Amaka said, I got an offer from Georgetown University. That's in DC, that's in Washington, DC. Many people would want to say, I'm living in Washington, DC. They just want that name.
Vibe, picture, background.
You're broke.
It's beyond that. When I looked at the cost of living in Washington, DC, I had to advise myself. And of course, it was like $4,000 higher than my funding here in Iowa City. So, but I did plus and minus and realized that even with the $4,000 added to their funding, that I may have little or nothing to save at the end of the day. So I had to, advise myself. So always think about that. Someone asked, okay, Nathaniel, you want to say something?
Yeah, actually want to leave right now because I have a meeting for 4 p.m. and a friend is coming to take me. He's here already. So
right. Thank you.
I'm really sorry, guys. Really sorry. I didn't know it was going to take this long. But yeah, we'll always be on the platform. Anyone who needs more information, Ugo is there, Amaka is there, also available. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. Good luck with the applications. God bless you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we're already rounding up with a question. So someone asked that like UK, one cannot apply without having transcripts and get a conditional admission offer. Then when you submit your transcript, you get an unconditional offer. I didn't get that question, right? My school doesn't offer student copy of transcripts. Yeah, what you should do is get your university or your polytechnic, send that transcript to an address within your location where you can go pick it up. For instance, what I did was I looked for an address, an official address, went to my school, applied for transcript, gave them that address. They sent it to that address. I picked it up, scanned it as a PDF document, and that was my unofficial copy of my transcript, what you can call student copy. So whenever I'm applying, I use that. So I'll advise you do that. The school says $8,000 for an academic year, $4,000 per semester. I think that was a question we addressed earlier. Someone said, if one is interested in investigative journalism, which course can one apply for? Because I discovered investigative journalism is not a discipline on its own. Yes, it is not. It's just an area of concentration. So target schools that offer journalism programs. So it's when you now look at the website of that program, you will see the areas of concentration, and every university offering journalism course is likely to have that concentration, that investigative journalism concentration. So put that in mind. Then someone said, as an HND holder, what is the minimum CGPA needed for you to get a scholarship in one of the schools in the USA?
I've answered that question, but
Good.
let me put it out there. It is, it's on a scale of 4, right? So when it's already on a scale of 4, most schools will tell you on the application page. I mean, before you even apply to any school, look at their requirements. They will actually tell you 3.0 on a scale of 4. 3.0 is like, in Polytechnic, it's called an upper credit, right? But that particular scale doesn't write you off entirely. Because even if you don't achieve that and you have maximum, like a lot of maybe publications, so many field experience that you can fill in, this is where it comes in. You see, I didn't have any publication, but I didn't just fold my hands. Maybe my CGPA filled in the gap of no for publication, my portfolio, my work experience, filled in those gaps for me. So even if you don't have up to like that 3-point CGPA scale, you can use your work experience, because they believe that your work experience is applied knowledge. It's what you have learned so far from this classroom that you have applied in the field. That means what we are saying here doesn't really get you confused. So you have like an idea of what you're coming to do here. That is just it. So, but the rule of the thumb is 3 points on a scale of 4.
Okay. So the second question this very person asked is, must your referee be somebody in academia? The reason is that he's a filmmaker or she's a filmmaker and a video editor, camera operator, etc. So can my referee be from someone in this field? Of course, I would want to answer this. Basically, the schools here in abroad, they will require like 2 references, like recommendation letters from your lecturers, your professors, at least 2. Then 1 can come from where you work or where you've worked before. That can be your boss. So one of the references can come from your place of work, and then 2 can come from your, where you schooled. And then another question may be, the person that taught you is no longer in that school. Maybe they are now teaching in another university. Yes, they taught you, so they still qualify to make comments about you. Okay. So this person said, last question to Amaka. It looks like you've answered this person's questions. Said, last question to Amaka, what do we look out for in knowing schools that offer admission to HND graduate? Amaka, I think, did you drop the list for them?
No, I didn't answer this question.
Okay.
But I think I've said something on this. When you apply as a HN, if you're coming from, I would say it, even right in Nigeria, when I was applying, please don't make excuses. Some people say I'm always too hard on myself. I like to stay like that because it keeps me in check. So if you are a HND holder, already know that you're coming from a very disadvantaged place already. So you're going to put in a lot of work. You're going to do a lot of inquiry. You're going to write a lot of inquiry mails. So if you go to a university website and they say bachelor's degree or equivalent, it is very likely that they accept your HND. But don't just stop on the likely. Proceed and mail the international admission or your program coordinator. Ask them that you have a HND. Explain very well what a HND entails. It entails both your national diploma, 2 years, and your higher national diploma. Tell them if you qualify. If you have done your WES, include your WES evaluation. If you have not, compile your ND and your HND transcripts into a single PDF folder and send it to them to evaluate.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Someone said, my BSc is in mass communication. Most of the universities are tried applying to ask for writing sample. What should I do, please? We addressed what a writing sample is. You can watch the recorded video for that. A writing sample is just anything that, can show your writing skills, your writing experience. That could be your publication, journal. So, the final year project you did, or maybe if you've written for any newspaper, any just works you've done in written form, you can send that to them, maybe in document form, in MS Word, or maybe in PDF form. Yeah. So, yeah, someone even asked that even your undergraduate thesis can qualify as your writing sample. So someone asked, please, I beg to draw your attention to my first question on required CGPA for HND. Amaka has answered that 3.0 on the scale of 4.0. Then someone said, I have national diploma, HND, Bachelor of Science, and Masters, awaiting result. What advice could you give? Recommend either to go for my PhD in mass communication. Now, because you already have HND, which is an equivalent of an undergraduate studies, an undergraduate degree for universities that accept HND, you can use that to apply for masters. Okay, and now because you already have a master's qualification, you can use that master's result when it is out to apply for PhD. I think you will only put up a strong case for yourself if you evaluate your HND using WES and then apply for PhD. But there are lots of people who also got PhD offers this fall without having a bachelor's degree or master's, just their HND straight to PhD. So it's possible. Just
yes, it's possible
that accept that. Someone asked, can we get a sample of SOP? Yes, Amaka has a sample of SOP on her Twitter. Yeah, she recently posted that, and I recently shared a link containing our profiles on Twitter, so you can click to follow Amaka, and then there is a search button on Twitter. Just search SOP or statement of purpose. You see her post on how to write that. Someone said investigative journalism is good. Try American. Okay, that's an advice. Someone said my undergraduate research project was not published on any journal or website, and I don't have any other published research work, but I have been a journalist for over 3 years, and I have published many investigative reports. In writing my code email, it's actually code as in, how you feel, not code as in like code to access a computer. So code email, how do I present myself? Amaka, can you answer that? She's saying her thesis wasn't published.
I feel like I've answered this question, but
Okay.
let me say it because I've answered a lot of questions and comments.
Okay, in the chat box. Okay.
So just like you said it, I told the person just like you're saying it. When you're introducing yourself, I've done this, I've done that, but now it is mostly advice that you don't focus on your weakness, focus on your strength. It's your strength. When you focus too much on your strength, you see that you feel your weakness. So don't say, I've forgotten the words in that, but I told the person, just like you have done this, you have 3 years experience, focus on those key aspects. I have interest in this, I have interest in that, I have done this, I have done that. It must not be published. My undergraduate thesis was focused on this and that and that. And now I am looking forward to do this or that and that. I have so number of experience in so thing. Do you understand? Like I said earlier, first of all, to even code email someone, you must have a kind of research interest overlap. So if you're emailing them, tell your story. It must not be published. Like I say, Nathaniel and Gochku, they are intimidating us without publication, but you can actually do this without publication. I didn't have any publication. In my SOP that I posted on Twitter, what I referenced, because I did 2 undergraduate theses as a Polytechnic graduate, actually do undergraduate thesis. So what I referenced in my SOP, and now it has to be, so because I did 2, I left the most recent one, which was on perception. And I quoted the one in my ND because it was very aligned with what I'm going to do. So it must not be published article as long as you have done something towards that direction. It is your experience, it is your story, it is your own. Own it with your full chest. Tell them that you worked on so thing during your undergraduates, and now you're looking towards working on so other stuff. And now because these two things align with their own interests, you look forward to working under their supervision.
All right. That answers it. Someone is saying his experience or interest is kind of different from the interest stated on the website of the program or the university. He's kind of looking, searching or, checking out, and he's asking what to do. Like I said, there are thousands of universities abroad. In the US, there are over 4,000 higher institutions. So check other universities. There are universities that, offer investigative journalism or whatever aspect of journalism you are interested in. Look out for those schools. If you see schools that are not interested in what you are interested in, that means that's not a fit for you. Go for another school that is a good fit for you. But if you are so interested in the school, you may have to switch over to that interest, which, their program offers. Someone is asking, what about those with broadcast experience, not basically print medium? Go for where you have, like the websites you are checking out, look at the areas of concentration. Again, there are so many schools. So if your interests don't align with their interests, that it's already a red light. So look for schools that their interests align with your interests. Someone said, I did my undergraduate research, but 2 professors from my university paid for it to be presented at a conference. They included me as the 3rd author. Okay, how do I capture this in my SOP? Yes, you are a co-author. You are part of the publication. You are a co-author. So reference that, own it, that you have published, in this area, like you recently published on so topic, so it's when they look out for the journal, or maybe when they see it on the CV, that they will know that, okay, you guys were actually co-authors on the work. So it's your work. You guys are just co-authors. Please, my undergraduate CGPA is 3.74 over 5.0, and my MA isn't completed yet. As it is, what's the conversion on a 4-point scale? That is on my Twitter. Just search converting, just search GPA on my Twitter. You see a search button on top of my profile. Just search GPA. You will see I made a comprehensive tweet on how to convert that. Someone else here is asking, can proof of English proficiency from my undergraduate university serve as IELTS and TOEFL? Yes, it can serve depending on the university. Some universities will tell you that you qualify for a waiver if you submit a proof of English proficiency from your university, so it qualifies as that. What if they fact check those excuses of your country not allowing international payments and your bank card not working on international payments and find out that you are lying? I mean, Amaka said this thing is verifiable. There are recent CBN policies that have really limited the amount of money you can transfer, especially in dollar, out of Nigeria. It's not new, it's verifiable, it's not a lie. So, all right, someone even told you that it's a fact. So please, after this seminar, can we get the recorded also? Definitely you will get it. How do we join professional membership? Nathaniel talked about it. You can watch the recorded version of the webinar to get an answer to that. Someone asks, is it compulsory? A professor recommends you if it's not stated on the requirements of the school webpage. Amaka?
For me, just like you said, most schools actually say through academic recommendation. I started my whole application journey, that was in 2020. And I remember that all of the recommendation I used them were professional recommendations.
Oh.
And I got admitted.
Okay.
And I got funding, but not full funding. So, but I would say most of the time, because trust me, the academic space in 2020 and in 2022 are not the same now. The competition is getting tougher by the day. You're competing with global applicants. Just imagine the number of people on this space alone. On this space alone, imagine how many countries in Africa putting up their application. These are the people that you will find. So I would recommend that you stick to as much possible. Like if the instruction is to recommendation from, some people will tell you that, okay, for my school, they will say 2 recommendations. But if it's like 4 years, like it's been up to 4 years you graduated, they would accept just professional, because they will understand that you, for 4 years, you might have been out of touch with that academic professor. So the best part, the best place that you can get the best information is by asking the program coordinator.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Someone asks, is it possible to have different areas of research interest? Absolutely, it is, it's allowed. Someone asks, how likely is it to move from STEM field in Nigeria to a non-STEM field? Education studies in US grad school. Amaka?
You see, one thing I like about the US is that anything is possible, just people you ask.
So you've even answered that in the chat.
Yes.
So
Anything
while
is
I'm
possible.
reading some of these questions, some people are streaming on Facebook and they don't have access to this chat box.
Yes, anything is possible, just giving the work. Like me, now let me not say like me. I have friends who has moved in here. Maybe they moved in as physicists, people in studying physics. I know it's not the same standard of education that we have back home that we have here. These people will stress you. So it was too stressful for them. They had to switch over to a different department that was less stressful for them. Some people come here as non-STEM graduates. They switched to STEM. Some people came in as STEM graduates. They switched to non-STEM. So anything is possible. Just show real passion and work hard towards it. You will achieve it.
Thank you. Someone asked the right visa type for applying to abroad.
F1 visa.
F1 visa, absolutely correct. So how can we get list of schools that offer health communication for masters? For my search, most schools offer program for PhD and undergraduate. HealthCom, you definitely see there are lots of programs that offer HealthCom concentration for masters. Just do your search. We already talked about how to search for schools and how to get some of those information. How easy it is to transition from mass communication to international development? Amaka just answered that recently. You can switch to any program here. You can be anything you want to be here. Just show that you are interested in it, and then you can work towards doing that. That's all. They just want you to show dedication. That's all. What is the fate of someone with 2-2, that second class lower undergraduate results? People with third class are getting scholarships. So come on, second class upper can do it. Is it compulsory you include references on CV, Amaka?
I don't understand.
He's asking if, at the end they will ask.
Okay, reference on CV.
Mm.
I would usually say upon request.
Good, that's it. That's it.
So when they request for it, which is that your recommendation, Adina,
good.
You now send it in. So in your CV, when they say CV reference, you just say upon request. So when they request that from you, your recommenders or referees can send in the recommendations.
Yeah, someone asked that he discovered that some schools do not require you to contact professors. They want you to apply directly. Yes, cold emails, cold emailing is not it's not a requirement. It's just a way of having to become conversant with some of the professors, familiarize with them, get research and funding opportunities. That's just it. It's not a requirement. So you can, like Kent State, I applied without reaching out to any professor and I got admitted with funding. So it's possible. You can apply without contacting any professor. How many pages should a writing sample be if not stated by the school? Writing sample can be anything like we stated. If your writing sample is your undergraduate thesis, then if they didn't state the number of pages on their website, you have every justification to send the entire 80 or 90 pages. But if you have already trimmed it down to 10, 15 pages publishable size, then it's also good. Is there a format for a writing sample? No format. They just want to see your, any written work you've done before. That's just what they want to see. It could be a news article you wrote for a newspaper. Someone said, I started my master's program in the University of Ibadan since 2019 until now, the result is not out. So I am confused if I should include it in my CV, no result to back it up. If you have no result to back it up, then you don't have the qualification yet. So you have to go with the qualification you have, you know. Then John says, I have a first class honors degree in English education. I have 2 publications also. Non-international publication, it doesn't matter. That's your local publication is an international publication for them this side, you know. So it is international to us because we are in the other side of the world. So that's it. Once it's more than a country, multi-country, it becomes international. So don't worry about that. And then an award of best student of the year. Awesome. I have several work experiences, awesome research experiences. That's good. Please, what are the advice that you would offer me, things I should now focus on because I want to win a direct PhD scholarship? That is possible. The entire webinar is about how to win scholarship. So in case you join late, you can follow up and watch the recorded video and watch all the entire process involved in winning scholarship. Is passport necessary before applying for overseas scholarship? If you are looking at, let's say maybe Canada, US, and then yeah, you may not really need a passport because it will be at the end of everything, maybe when you've gotten admission and then you want to proceed to apply for your visa, that's when you would need your international passport. But if you are going for what I call conventional scholarships like the Commonwealth, Chevening, DAD, Erasmus Mundus scholarship, those ones will require that you have your international passports handy. Even the UK and other parts of Europe, they would need you to upload your international passport right inside the application portal. So you would need that. But if it's US, Canada, I'm very sure that most of the schools, it's after you've gotten your admission funding and then maybe you're requesting for like F1 visa. Maybe you are requesting for Form I-20. Yeah, the school will now ask you for your passport to see some information. So my GPA is 2.49 out of 5, but my last 2 sessions GPA is 4.11/5. Which should I put on my CV? The cumulative final GPA you graduated with is what you should put on your CV, but you can reference that as your major GPA. What are the in-demand skills in journalism that can be acquired to boost application, Amaka?
Journalism is very vast. So if you're focused on health communication, there are skills that you should get. If you're focused on political communication, there are also skills that you should get. But generally, I would say because the US is crazy with STEM field, I would say get as many soft skills as you would like. Get analytical skills, get, for people that are going to do their PhD, you would need SPSS to analyze regression, correlation, analysis of variance, all of those things. You will need all of those soft skills. Excel, you will need it. PowerPoint, I mean, if you're going to be teaching in a university, you don't teach with, they teach with a whiteboard, but most of the time, PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So learn these things, like they will come in handy for you. If you can even go as far as learning R, like R is a programming language for statistics and analysis. Like it is something that cuts across every discipline. Like you have to analyze something at some point. So learn these things. It's going to help you. And me, I'm someone that I am open to learning anything and everything, because I believe that at one point at one different area of life, at a different area of life, it might come in handy. So no knowledge is wasted.
Okay, thank you. Someone is requesting for our handles. I will reply with the handles shortly. And then someone is asking which grad school to apply for PhD in mass communication with concentration on digital communication. Google is your friend. Search that on Google. Universities in the US that offer mass communication PhD, you will see the results.
And digital com.
Yeah,
there are plenty.
Good. You see that. So someone says, what questions should you ask grad students when emailing them? Like, Amaka, can you help with that? The kind of questions we can ask current grad students when reaching out to them.
Okay, like me, I reached out. I mean, that is a very good thing, very good question actually, because when I got admitted, I didn't get a GA immediately. So what I had was only tuition waiver. So my journey to getting a GA started when I emailed someone in the school. So they are Nigerians, right? You don't have to be official, like. So basically, the normal introduction, I am so person, I just got admitted to so school, please. Now you have to, the question is fluid at this moment because it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking, if you, like me, when I didn't have the GA ship, I messaged this person. My message this person went like after introducing myself and admission thing. I was now like, are there graduate assistant opportunities in the school, you know, that kind of thing, on campus job thing. So my questions were tailored towards my need at that particular moment in time. So after the whole, these people, they are Nigerians now. Even at a point, because the person was an Igbo person, at a point, he now started even conversing in our local language. So it depends on your need at that particular moment in time. But the truth is that you don't have to be like extremely formal. At a point, it now degenerates to even PG. Because this person, you would see them in person. I mean, I don't know for others, but Nigerians in the US, they want more Nigerians. They want to create a very good, vibrant Nigerian community. That's why whenever I talk, I say people should apply to my school. Let me have more Nigerian people around me. That is the truth.
Yeah. So we're done with questions from chat box here on Zoom. So we'll move over to questions we have on Facebook with concentration on those that we've not answered before. Someone is asking if he makes a publication out of his thesis, his undergraduate project, won't the program, the department asks for the main project? Oh.
Like if he publishes undergraduate thesis, the department he's asking, is it the one he's applying or the one
he's applying to? Yeah.
No, the thing is when you actually publish this thing, most of the time you have an online profile. That's what I usually tell. If you're interested in building your profile around scholarship, writing, you know, professorship, like we go here, I would highly recommend that you create a profile on ResearchGate, academia.eu, all of these, Google Scholar. You understand? And then you attend conferences. You're not just attending, you're building wonderful connections that will help you after school. We recommend opportunities for you. We recommend you at the job market. It's going to stretch. So if you have a publication, just give them each publishing house has the existing, they call it the ISBN thing, an index, book index number, right? So
yeah,
as long as it is published, if it's accessible, that is the difference between unpublished thesis and a published one. Yeah. So once they start your name, your year of publication, they are definitely going to see you. So they don't need to even ask you to submit. They just need to, if they want to verify, it is all there.
Yeah. So I would also like to add to what Amaka just said. It's a common practice, even here in the US. People like make publications out of their thesis, out of their dissertation. Maybe someone who is doing a PhD may decide to make a publication out of every chapter. Like sometimes when they graduate, they will tell you that they were able to like publish like, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 chapters from their dissertation, you know. So it's a normal thing. Feel free to compress your undergraduate project, which is about 60, 70, 80, 100 and something pages to like 10, 15 pages and publish it. It's a normal academic practice. So don't feel that it's something bad to do. So someone here is asking that schools to apply to, just search, Google is your friend. We've answered that severally. Someone is asking, do you get scholarship first before talking about funding? Scholarship is just like a synonymous word to funding. Funding and scholarship, they both mean the same thing. Someone asked, please talk more about writing sample. We've addressed that severally and we shared a recorded video for you to watch that in detail. Someone said, I would like to do my PhD ASAP. But I would like to know which schools to apply for fully funded PhD, especially in mass communication or related courses. Again, Google is your friend. Use 4icu.org or usnews.com to search for schools in the US and then go through their website, their admission requirements, entry requirements to see if they accept direct PhD. Someone is asking, please, between GRE and TOEFL, which of these two is the most preferred? All of them are requirements. What matters is which has the university you are applying to waived, or which are they requiring that you must have. So just check out their requirements. Then the same person says, HND graduate from Nigeria. I don't think I can afford the two courses. HND graduates, Amaka is here. She got funded, she got admitted with her HND doing masters. You can even do PhD with your HND. We say that over and over again. Just be intentional. How can one structure a message to ask for an application fee waiver in a way that the professors will waive it? That was discussed, in this Zoom session previously. You can access the video recorded version of this webinar and access the entire conversation. One of the prerequisites for graduating in masters in this school is to have up to 11 publications before graduation. It's definitely not a bed of roses even here in Nigeria. I'm currently doing a master's in private university here in Nigeria, but I can bet that I have lots of researches to work on. I think this is more like a comment, not a question. Someone says, can we get a copy of a CV so we could use as a guide? I have a CV guide on my Twitter page, Twitter handle, Ugochukwu CFR. Just search academic CV on my page. You will see how to do that. Then someone says, an HND graduate between TOEFL and GRE, which is one of the most, this person asked this question before. Please, is there any community on WhatsApp group LinkedIn meant for hunting scholarships? I'm a physics grad and work experience in renewable energy. What are the bodies I can join? Can I use one recommendation for application? Of course, one recommendation letter, but it has to be addressed maybe generally, like to whom it may concern, which I always frown at. You can just address it to the admissions committee, and then avoid mentioning the name of the school if you want to just use one recommendation letter. But it is wise to get professors who are willing to support you and write multiple recommendation letters. Can I use my NYC teaching experience? Yes, it is. It qualifies. Can we get a sample of SOP? Yes. Amaka has SOP sample on her Twitter page. Please, when applying for masters, can you have 3 pages in your CV? Yes, I recommend 2 minimum, 3 maximum. It's not, ideal to have a kind of CV that has so many pages. I mean, people will get admitted and funding with 10 pages as a CV, but I don't think that's ideal. Someone says, what is the name of your school, ma?
Northern Illinois University.
Okay, you heard her. So someone is saying he is currently researching on artificial intelligence and advertising, and that he reached out to a senior lecturer in Greenwich University, told him about his research interest because of the lines, and he told him that he would like to publish it when he's done. What I did was to make sure my school, this person had to kind of separate all the messages, and I'm finding it difficult to piece them together, so I can't answer that. Yeah. Judo Buddha says, well done, guys. Sorry for joining late. You're saving lives. That's my undergraduate professor. I also have a lecturer who have written 3 publications for. Most of these things are now comments. So we are getting ready to end the webinar. Someone asked, can someone create a WhatsApp group for us? We are not into creation of WhatsApp groups. Definitely we have a JMC Telegram page, which we are careful about how to share that, because people who are not JMC inclined may filter into the group and all that. Must all our reference later come from our school, or which is more valid? once it is academic reference letter, it should come from somebody that has taught you, whether or not they are still in your school. And then someone says, please, I would like to know if I am required to send transcripts from my two alma mater, which are Yaba Tech, OND, and Unilag BSc. Amaka?
Transcript from your alma mater.
That is to say, he has, just like me, he has national diploma and also Bachelor of Science degree. So he's asking if he has to send the two transcripts.
It depends on the one that they are using for the, if you're using just your BSc, I mean, no need to send your ND.
Okay, so if you included your national diploma on your profile, on your CV, which I advise you to do because it gives you an edge, it strengthens education. I also did that. So if that is the case, you have to send both transcripts. Official transcripts when you are already admitted, unofficial when you are still seeking admission. So you get those two transcripts and, you know, attach it together and then use it to apply. So someone says, are there universities in the US that offer scholarships on health communication? Yes. My area of concentration is health communication, and I'm studying at the University of Iowa here in the US. So there are so many schools that do that. So with this, we have successfully answered all the questions our participants on this webinar have. And I really want to appreciate Amaka, who spared several hours to be with us on this webinar. And I also want to appreciate Nathaniel Godwin, who left us a few minutes ago, and also to appreciate all of you who joined and streamed live on this webinar, especially those who never left, who joined and never left from the beginning till now, but the real champs. And we look forward to celebrating you soon when they will soon start rolling out feedbacks and offer letters, admission later. So
I'm rooting for all of you.
Yeah, what are your final words?
Thank you for everyone for attending and staying through to the end. And I can't wait to celebrate you. I can't wait to actually discuss the post-admission process with you.
That's awesome. So from my end here, I say thank you very much, and we'll still get to stay in touch. I've already shared our Twitter profile handles with you guys, so you can follow up and then, stay in touch. So with this, we've officially come to the end of this webinar. So you can maybe leave now and will not feel bad, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm looking at how to save this video without making a mistake. Figure out how to save mistake and yeah. So
I think you should save automatically.
Yeah, it looks like this is my first experience with this, so I think so I just stopped streaming on Facebook now, and then stop recording. I think there is an option here that says stop recording. All right, Amaka.
Bye.